Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads, they pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. It was a great day last Friday. Thank you so much. We had a matching grant of $15,000, and it's enough to make you believe that, a synchrony or Edgar Casey's idea that, we're essentially at some level all one, we're all connected. Because I was like, we need to raise $15,000 to get this $15,000 match. And we raised about $40 less than $15,000. It's amazing. I don't know how you knew when to start and when to stop, but your contributions on Friday were perfect. We hit 30 grand. We are out of the hole that we were in last week. And this week, we just need to make $10,000 a day for the next 5 days. And, we're good. So if you haven't made a contribution to Free Speech TV yet, or if you're new to Free Speech TV, this is how we pay for the network. It's how we pay for the electrons going from here to Denver, how Denver then, pays. Denver is where the satellite uplink is and where the headquarters for Free Speech TV is. And it's, you know, like with most broadcast companies, they all have an office in Denver because that's the highest point in continental United States where you can beam a satellite reliably, a signal up to the satellite, right, from way, way up in the sky. And so it goes to Denver, and then it goes up to, you know, your DirecTV satellite or your Dish TV satellite, and thus, you know, arrives at your home. Or, you know, it goes up to a communication satellite, and, you know, gets onto the internet, into the broadband part of the internet, the big pipes, and comes to your home via Roku or Apple or Sling TV or freespeech.org or, you know, whatever it may be. But here it is, and a fine thing it is, and we need to keep it going. So, you know, the way that this network stays on the air and pays those bills and pays the bills for the 17 people who work at Free Speech TV in Denver, and you know, helps keep us connected to Free Speech TV and covers the cost of that connection, is by you calling 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, and you can make your contribution to Free Speech TV and keep this network going and help us hit our $10,000 goal. And maybe I put that out in the ether, 10,000. It's not that much. I mean, a lot of local FM, you know, local NPR stations raise that much in an hour or two in their fund drives. We should be able to do this. It's, you know, just, you know, become a supporter of Free Speech TV. This is the fall pledge drive. Make your pledge. With a $30 gift, we get a mini kit, the Free Speech TV mini kit. It's a sticker and a button. Very nice sticker, very nice button. It's about voting. The whole idea is, you know, vote Free Speech TV, right? What that means is that, you know, we're supporting you in making sure that you're registered to vote, making sure that the Republicans have not yet purged your name from the voter rolls. If you're a Democrat, the odds are about 3 or 4 times greater that you'll be purged than if you're registered as a Republican or an independent. And show up, right? Participate and get a few friends to come with you. You get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. It's been a few years, I think, since we've offered this as a premium. It's a great book. It is just a marvelous book with the history of America, the story of, you know, Matthew Lyon pointing out that Roger Griswold on the floor of the House of Representatives in the 1790s, he was a Federalist, and he said, "You're just in favor of the rich and powerful." And Griswold came after him with a poker that he picked out of the fireplace there in the Senate, and or the House of Representatives. And John Adams had Lyons arrested and sent back to Vergennes, Vermont, to sit in an unheated jail cell for a year and a half until the election of 1800, when Thomas Jefferson freed him. Anyhow, that is $72. That's in the book, the We the People. $120 gift. You get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. It's the T-shirt button and bumper sticker sticker. With a $240 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie kit. That's the dark gray hoodie plus the bumper, plus the sticker and the button. With a $360 gift, which could be $30 a month for a year, you get the Free Speech TV Vote for Our Future pack, which is both the T-shirt and the hoodie and the bumper and the sticker and the button. And with $480, you get all that stuff with the $360 contribution plus a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. And with a $1,000 gift, come on over here and we'll go to lunch. I had lunch with, I think there was 7 or 8 donors and their spouses or significant others. Altogether, we were 11 people, but Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech TV, was here and joined us, which is great. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you. And greetings with all the people who are supporting Free Speech TV. Many of them came to visit our studio today. It's just great having these people in the studio, and we all want to say to you, tag you're it!
Hello, my name is Tom Toussaint. My wife and I, Barb, have been supporting Thom Hartmann and Free Speech TV for over 14 years. We believe it critically important that you receive the other side of the news, as compared to corporate-held news media such as so-called Fox News. I encourage all of you to give what you can. If you value Tom, Amy Goodman, and others, continue to support Free Speech TV.
Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Happy Monday. Greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. There's a lot in the news today. Ken Starr is going to be with us in our second hour. That should be interesting. We want to talk about Paul LePage in our third hour, but in our first hour here today, I want to get into, actually, there's a whole bunch of things, but, as a starting point, why are we allowing a creepy porn president to appoint a creepy alleged rapist to the Supreme Court? Or wannabe rapist? I mean, would there be, at the very least, backlash from the women in the Republican Party? This is an issue of some consequence, I would say. And, particularly if you're a woman, I'm wondering your thoughts on this. This presents, now that this woman has come forward, Miss Dr. Ford, her name is Christine Blasey Ford, and she is a professor. She has a PhD. She is Dr. Ford. And she says that Brett Kavanaugh and a friend of his, who is alleged to have had a yearbook posting about smacking women around. Anyhow, Brett Kavanaugh and a friend of his, quote, both stumbling drunk, according to her, dragged her into or corralled her in a bedroom, or pushed her into a bedroom, along with a friend of his. These two guys pushed this girl. She was a girl then, with this young woman, Christine Blasey Ford, Dr. Ford, into this bedroom while his friend watched. This is from Emma Brown's piece in the Washington Post. While his friend watched, she said, Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed on her back and groped her over her clothes, grinding his body against hers and clumsily attempting to pull off her one-piece bathing suit and the clothing she wore over it. When she tried to scream, she said Kavanaugh put his hand over her mouth. I thought he might inadvertently kill me, said the 51-year-old research psychologist in Northern California. He was trying to attack me and remove my clothing. She said she was trying to escape when Kavanaugh's friend and classmate, Mark Judge, jumped on top of both of them, sending all three of them tumbling off the bed, and she ran from the room and locked herself in the bathroom. And then when the young men left, apparently, laughing and slapping the walls, she escaped, feeling, shall we say, violated. What's so bizarre to me is that, over the weekend, I got a lot of writing done today, or over this weekend, rather. And, I would write for a few hours, then I'd take a break and go watch TV for 10 or 15 minutes, or take a walk, and through the neighborhood or whatever. But I have to break it up. I wrote for, I think, 10 hours straight yesterday. And 2 or 3 times I'd turn on the TV and just to see what's going on, see if there's any actual news going on. And at least once I saw a comparison of Brett Kavanaugh with Al Franken, which completely baffles me. I mean, first of all, on the left, really? And secondly, Al Franken is not accused of trying to rape anybody. I mean, the worst accusation against him was that when he was standing next to a woman who was getting her picture taken, he reached around and squeezed the fat on her side. It's in her love handle. I mean, really? Well, somebody said he patted her butt. Okay, that's not rape. I'm sorry. It may be terrible. It may be something worth resigning from the Senate over. That's something that Al Franken had to decide, and he apparently decided it was. He decided to resign. Or, shall we say, some of his colleagues urged him to resign. But I think that's just an absolutely terrible comparison. And Franken, if it is something worth resigning, he did the honorable thing. I think he was an honest man, and I think that, frankly, he shouldn't have resigned. He didn't have a lookout. He didn't have a wingman with him like Brett Kavanaugh is alleged to have had. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't trying to force himself on anybody. I mean, come on. So now we get to the politics of this. This is where it gets really interesting. You've got a couple of Republicans now, Jeff Flake leading the crowd, saying, okay, you've got a credible allegation of attempted rape against a guy who wants to have a lifetime appointment on the Supreme Court at the age of, I believe he's 53 or 54, which means, in all probability, he'll be on the Supreme Court 30, maybe 40 years. And he's going to be deciding cases that have to do with the rights of women. I mean, at the top of the list, obviously, Roe v. Wade, but they go on down through everything from Title IX to equal rights, to what is assault. I mean, there's just this whole long list of things. And so, up until this week, or this last 3 days, Doug Jones, Heidi Heitkamp, Joe Manchin, and Joe Donnelly, the kind of blue dog Democrats, the yes, we'll take money from corporations Democrats in the Senate, have been cagey about whether they'll vote for Brett Kavanaugh. Well, I don't know, maybe, they've met with him and, seem inclined to, but, I don't know. Joe Donnelly's from Indiana. It's Mike Pence's state, the state where Mike Pence tried to make it so that when women had miscarriages, they had to report themselves to the police and have a funeral. Joe Manchin's from West Virginia, where Donald Trump has been trying to tell everybody in West Virginia that he's going to bring back coal. West Virginia continues to lose coal jobs because America continues to use less and less coal. I mean, it's just pretty straightforward. Heidi Heitkamp is from North Dakota, a state in the red Midwest. And Doug Jones is from Alabama, a very, very, very red state. And so in every case, you've got states with enormously high percentages of people who watch Fox so-called news, which is leaning on these guys. But now they've got an excuse. Now they've got a reason. Here you've got 4 Democrats. The whole strategy that Mitch McConnell was following with regard to Mr. Kavanaugh, to Brett Kavanaugh. The whole strategy was basically, if we can just pick up one Democrat and hang on to the Republicans, we can call it bipartisan. But, keep in mind, the Republicans have 51 votes in the Senate. They've already replaced McCain just for this purpose. They got 51 votes in the Senate. But if they lose Murkowski and they lose Collins, they're down to 49 votes. And if all of the Democrats hold the line and Collins and Murkowski vote with them, that makes 51 votes for the Democrats. If all of the Democrats, if Manchin and Heitkamp and Donnelly and Jones will hold the line, and they may even pick up Jeff Flake and Bob Corker, who knows? So now McConnell is faced with this choice. Do you hold this until after the elections? Because that's basically what it's going to take. It's going to take a couple months to bring this woman in and let her testify. Well, actually, there are some indications that McConnell is saying, let's have the testimony tomorrow on Tuesday, and then let's have the vote on Thursday. So he's going to try and, run this through the washing machine really, really, really fast. And the question is, can he pull it off? And if he does pull it off, and it's perceived as railroading, how are the American people going to respond to that? Now we've got a creepy alleged rapist being appointed by a creepy porn president. Is this, even if this happens, I think that a large part of the Republican strategy up to this point has been that, if they can put a right-wing judge on the court who all but says, and in fact, frankly, has said in the past, if he has an opportunity to overturn Roe v. Wade, he will do it. I mean, he hasn't said it in literally those words, but he has provided all the rationalizations and justifications for it. I went through it on the program last Friday in some detail. And so McConnell's math here is, or was, If we can get this guy on the court, the evangelicals will love us because we're going to blow up abortion. And the right-wing women will stay with us because they do what their husbands tell them to. And everything will be good. 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump in the last election, gave him the election. This is our base. But if that 53% of white women who voted for Trump say, you know, this is a bridge too far. And for that matter, you know, Trump being the creepy porn president, something we'll be discussing next hour with Ken Starr. Is that a bridge too far? How's this going to shake out? I'm thinking that this may be the moment, right? The Republicans can, or the Democrats can either really make this work to their advantage, or they can really blow it. And sadly, to a large extent, it's going to depend on what the media does and how they treat this story and how much oxygen they give it. But I want to give it a fair amount of oxygen here because this guy is insanely toxic. 17 minutes past the hour.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's the place where smart people get their news. Pacifica, Free Speech TV, commercial radio stations across the country. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Linda in Seattle, listening on our Pacifica affiliate there, 91.3 FM. Hey, Linda, what's up?
Hi.
Hey, Linda.
I have this posting also on Twitter at EcoPeace Vision, and I just want to look at the issue of when somebody does something when they're drunk at any age, acknowledging that there can be that was a bad decision, that was not using self-control to even start drinking alcohol to begin with, because your choices can be worse and you can drink more. So I would like Kavanaugh to acknowledge that part of his error, and he could say he will do restitution, is it called, to restorative justice, to speak to youth around the nation about not doing that sort of thing, to end up in a situation where you might have done something you don't even remember. So he could...
That would require essentially a confession of guilt, Linda, and I don't think you're going to get that out of him, A. And B, you know, the official position of the Supreme Court is that this whole thing of, you know, brains aren't fully developed when kids are teenagers. You know, you have to wait until they're at least 21 or at least 18 to be seriously considered for something like the death penalty. Well, I forget which state it was. I think it might have been Texas. A couple of years back, executed a mentally retarded person who had the IQ of an 8 or 9 year old, and another state executed somebody who'd been arrested as a minor, and that's been a while. But you know, basically, the conservative in the Supreme Court position is that it doesn't matter how old you are if you commit a crime, and I'm sure there's a lot of people on death row who, you know, well, I shouldn't have had that drink. Do you really think that's going to fly?
Well, he being in the position he's in, being with the right, he could say that there was a spirit that was involved, so that it wasn't completely him, but that he's responsible for the choice.
A spirit?
Losing self-control. Yeah, even Jesus said that there's a spirit related to money. So
you're saying Brett Kavanaugh should claim demonic possession?
Yeah, he could do it.
That would be interesting.
With the right.
That would be interesting. You're right.
And there is such a thing. There is evidence in prisons of demonic entities being there.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that way also he could apologize for not. It wasn't him that maybe did the act, but he took the alcohol that led him to do it, so he could do restitution for, you know, talking to youth. He could give her like enough money to send a member to college, you know, well,
isn't that rich people being able to escape because they can pass out their money instead of doing their time?
Well, we want to direct people towards higher towards their higher self. And so even talk hosts can always try to give an out that allows the person to go towards their higher self.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of forgiveness, and I'm a big fan of people having new starts and new opportunities and starting over and learning from their mistakes. And I think it's real. And I think it's real on just about every kind of crime, although I'm a little queasy about letting people who have murdered people out of jail, at least, in short order. But this would all require Kavanaugh to admit it, Linda. I don't think it's going to happen. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thom Hartmann here with you, and just a programming note. This Friday, Jefferson Smith will be filling in for me because I will be in Los Angeles for the Bill Maher Show, which should be great fun. Michael Moore will be on the Bill Maher Show, and of course, the brilliant Bill Maher will be on the Bill Maher Show, which is what the main thing that makes it always worth watching. So just a heads up. Lewis in Rockford, Illinois. Hey, Lewis, what's on your mind today?
Good morning, Tom. Two things before I get to my main point about Kavanaugh is I share the passion with you that everyone needs to get out and vote. We pay a lot of taxes. Please get out and exercise your rights and vote.
Yep.
The other thing is if you could tell me after I'm off about what Mark Pocan said about the bill that he wrote and then refused to sign, I'd appreciate that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The bill to get rid of ICE. He wrote a bill, and then when Paul Ryan brought it up for a vote, he refused to sign it. So I don't know what else to tell you.
We'll have to ask him on Wednesday when he comes on the program. I don't know the answer.
Okay, I'll have to ask him. And that was well over 3 weeks, if not a month ago. So, anyways, this accusation by this lady is highly unethical that it's brought up.
Really, why?
She's unclear. Well, I'm getting to that. I always say something and then state why. For one, it's high school, 30-some years ago. So it's beyond any type of legal action. Also,
but it speaks to character here, Lewis. And don't you think that if somebody's a bully in high school, they're probably a bully when they grow up?
No. Character.
Lewis. You're telling me that you're a very different person than you were in high school. You have different values.
Quite a bit.
Really? How did that happen?
Through maturation, understanding what it's like to be a human being, understanding what other human beings go through.
So so you think that
this isn't about me. So let's move back to her.
That's why I'm moving it into the third person. So you think that in the abstract, the qualities that a person. I mean, my observation has been, being the parent of 3 kids and seeing a whole lot of other kids grow up, is that you can largely predict how somebody's going to be as an adult when they're 2 years old. I mean, you can tell the kids that are shy versus the kids that are outspoken, the kids that are bullies versus the kids that are victims. All those things, that falls into the category of something called temperament. And Brett Kavanaugh seems, if this story is true, and that's a huge if, but if this story is true, it seems to me like the temperament of Brett Kavanaugh is entitled rich frat boy. He's at a private, very expensive private prep school in Georgetown, and all male prep school, and preying on a teenage girl, 2 years younger than him. She was 16, he was 17, or she was 15 or 16, and he was 17, and he's trying to rape her. I mean, that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that people grow out of, being bullies.
Well, I'm not going to talk over you, Tom, and I was in the process of explaining why I think that this is...
Okay, the next 30 seconds are all yours, Lewis.
Okay. To begin with, this lady contradicts what...
I'm listening. Lewis?
Hello?
Louise, yeah?
My headphone went out. I speak on a headphone. She contradicts what she told her therapist. Also,
Oh, no, she just didn't give his name to her therapist. She did talk about the incident.
Also, why did she go to the Washington Post and to her political opponent's party to talk about this?
Well, because that's the only way to stop Brett Kavanaugh, and she thinks he's a bad guy.
Yeah, she's trying to...
Doesn't that make sense? I mean, I'm sorry, Lewis, I'm unconvinced. We'll be back. It's 27. Good try, though. It's 27 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Boy, Lewis tried for a twofer. That's pretty amazing. Knock Mark Pocan and defend Brett Kavanaugh. We'll be right back. It was a great day last Friday. Thank you so much. We had a matching grant of $15,000, and it's enough to make you believe that, a synchrony or Edgar Casey's idea that, we're essentially at some level all one, we're all connected. Because I was like, we need to raise $15,000 to get this $15,000 match. And we raised about $40 less than $15,000. It's amazing. I don't know how you knew when to start and when to stop, but your contributions on Friday were perfect. We hit 30 grand. We are out of the hole that we were in last week. And this week, we just need to make $10,000 a day for the next 5 days. And, we're good. So if you haven't made a contribution to Free Speech TV yet, or if you're new to Free Speech TV, this is how we pay for the network. It's how we pay for the electrons going from here to Denver. How Denver then, pays. Denver is where the satellite uplink is and where the headquarters for Free Speech TV is. And it's, like with most broadcast companies, they all have an office in Denver because that's the highest point in continental United States where you can beam a satellite reliably, a signal up to the satellite, right, from way, way up in the sky. And so it goes to Denver, and then it goes up to, your DirecTV satellite or your Dish TV satellite. And thus, arrives at your home, or, it goes up to a communication satellite, and, gets onto the internet, into the broadband part of the internet, the big pipes, and comes to your home via Roku or Apple or Sling TV or freespeech.org or, whatever it may be. But here it is. And a fine thing it is. And we need to keep it going. So, the way that this network stays on the air and pays those bills and pays the bills for the 17 people who work at Free Speech TV in Denver and helps keep us connected to Free Speech TV and covers the cost of that connection is by you calling 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, and you can make your contribution to Free Speech TV and keep this network going. And help us hit our $10,000 goal. And maybe I put that out in the ether. 10,000. It's not that much. I mean, a lot of local local NPR stations raise that much in an hour or two in their fund drives. We should be able to do this. It's become a supporter of Free Speech TV. This is the fall pledge drive. Make your pledge. With a $30 gift, we get a mini kit, the Free Speech TV mini kit. It's a sticker and a button. Very nice sticker, very nice button. It's about voting. The whole idea is, vote Free Speech TV, right? What that means is that we're supporting you in making sure that you're registered to vote, making sure that the Republicans have not yet purged your name from the voter rolls. If you're a Democrat, the odds are about 3 or 4 times greater that you'll be purged than if you're registered as a Republican or an independent. And show up, right? Participate and get a few friends to come with you. You get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. It's been a few years, I think, since we've offered this as a premium. It's a great book. It is just a marvelous book with the history of America, the story of, Matthew Lyon pointing out that Roger Griswold on the floor of the House of Representatives in the 1790s, he was a Federalist, and he said, "You're just in favor of the rich and powerful." And Griswold came after him with a poker that he picked out of the fireplace there in the Senate, or the House of Representatives. And John Adams had Lyons arrested and sent back to Vergennes, Vermont, to sit in an unheated jail cell for 1.5 years until the election of 1800 when Thomas Jefferson freed him. Anyhow, that is $72. That's in the book, The We the People. $120 gift. You get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. It's the T-shirt button and bumper sticker sticker. With a $240 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie kit. That's the dark gray hoodie plus the bumper, plus the sticker and the button. With a $360 gift, which can be $30 a month for a year, you get the Free Speech TV Vote for Our Future pack, which is both the T-shirt and the hoodie and the bumper and the sticker and the button. And with $480, you get all that stuff with the $360 contribution plus a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. And with a $1,000 gift, come on over here and we'll go to lunch. I had lunch with, I think there was 7 or 8 donors and their spouses or significant others. Altogether, we were 11 people, but Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech TV, was here and joined us, which is great. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you. And greetings with all the people who are supporting Free Speech TV. Many of them came to visit our studio today. It's just great having these people in the studio, and we all want to say to you, tag your it!
Hello, my name is Tom Toussaint. My wife and I, Barb, have been supporting Thom Hartmann and Free Speech TV for over 14 years. We believe it critically important that you receive the other side of the news, as compared to corporate-held news media such as so-called Fox News. I encourage all of you to give what you can. If you value Tom, Amy Goodman, and others, continue to support Free Speech TV.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Helping you in the water cooler wars, Thom Hartmann here with you. So the question is, there going to be a backlash from women, Republican women, if Mitch McConnell succeeds and pushes this thing, jams this thing, shoves this thing through? We'll see. Larry in Eugene, Oregon, it looks like you don't think so.
Hi, Tom. Long-time viewer, first-time caller.
Hey, Larry. Here's a quote from, by the way, a couple of quotes from Mark Judge. This was the other guy in the room with Kavanaugh, who apparently jumped on the girl and Kavanaugh, and they all rolled on the floor, and this is how she escaped. Excuse me. He has a quote from Sir Noel Coward on his yearbook page. Certain women should be struck regularly like gongs. And then apparently a message to Brett. He says, Bart, they called him Bart, apparently. Bart, have you boffed yet? Okay, what do you think?
Well, I think your optimism gets way over the line sometimes, Tom. What's practiced in Washington is clearly raw, cynical power politics, and you know better than I do that the money will come in where it's needed. They'll get Democratic votes if they need them. Dianne Feinstein wouldn't surprise me. She'd benefit greatly from a Kavanaugh. Said personally, I happen to know. Anyway, the public pressure means virtually nothing to these people. They get around it so easily. That's what they do for a living. And I think you dramatically underestimate with that optimism the control of all of the levers of power by our elites. I mean, that's just a cold fact, a very depressing fact, but it's there nevertheless.
No, we live in an oligarchy. I'll give you that, Larry.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that there are some things, particularly in this Me Too era, and maybe, you know, had this happened 6 months ago when Me Too was red hot, it would be even more consequential, but it's still damn hot. There are some things that I think you just can't back away from. And Larry, thank you for the call. I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree that it's all about raw power politics. But the thing that the thing that you're missing, I think, is that the thing that the Republicans are most afraid of is more hearings, because they still are sitting on 90% of Kavanaugh's papers. And about 100,000 documents have been released just to the committee, and the Democrats have access to them. And in fact, Cory Booker has revealed some of them, mostly the ones that have to do with Kavanaugh's positions on race. The senator from Hawaii did the same thing. But there's a lot more there, particularly, and we have not yet got to his stuff on torture in the Bush administration and other things. So the Republicans, what they're afraid of is not that this is going to sink the nomination, but that it's going to open the door to more discussion, because there's a massive cover-up going on here. And this could blow up the cover-up, and that's the thing that we ignore at our own peril. Carolyn in Hearn, Texas. Hey, Carolyn, what's on your mind? Thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV.
Hello, Tom. How are you today?
Good. What's up?
Well, I called about Kavanaugh, but I wanted to also make a comment about your statement that you thought that people's personality is set at the age 2.
No, I'm not saying personality. I'm saying temperament. And,
or even temperament. I don't believe that's true, because I think that if you have the right mentor and you put the person in the right circumstances, they can change. And
I absolutely agree. And a million things get learned. But if somebody at the age of 16 is behaving like a bully and forcing himself, on women or anybody else for that matter, then it wouldn't surprise me that tendency, whether it's being acted out in a sexual realm or whether it's just being, my sense of Brett Kavanaugh when I was watching the hearings was that he is a kiss up, kick down kind of guy. These are people that you meet in the corporate world frequently. I used to run across these people all the time when I did corporate consulting and when I worked in the advertising business. And they will suck up to you all day long, but when they don't need you, you'll be the first one that they step on. And that's a temperamental thing, I believe.
Well, my other comment is to remind you about the law of this land, and that the last time I knew, you were innocent until proven guilty, and you were not.
I agree. That's why I keep using the word alleged.
You have not have to prove your innocence. Somebody else has to prove.
That's true in a court of law, but if you're applying for a job, which is what Brett Kavanaugh is doing, a job for the rest of your life where you're going to be literally ruling on the rights of women, I think that it's important that we have a thoughtful and careful analysis before you're handed that kind of power. I mean, Brett Kavanaugh will have more power than anybody in the United States Senate, anybody in the House of Representatives, and arguably more power than the president in many regards, because he can strike laws down. And none of those other people... Go ahead.
Anybody can make an accusation.
That's true.
I mean, today a man gave me a hug in sympathy because I lost somebody very dear to me. And we prayed. Now, in today's world, I could actually say that this man assaulted me because he gave me a hug.
You could, and it would be looked into, and
that would be stupid.
Yes.
Is there any proof that 35, 40 years ago that Kavanaugh did this? We are taking this woman's word when she was 15,
right,
and probably drunk too.
Could be, yeah. And I'm inclined to take her word for it. Carolyn, I'm going to move along, but I get your point, and that's why I'm using the word alleged. But this is something different. Dion in Southwest Missouri watching us on YouTube. Hey, Dion, what's up?
Well, I think it's pretty appropriate that I'm following that caller, because I have a question about, like, what do you think it would take to convince Caroline that the truth is the truth, and in what world would it make sense that even a credible allegation, whether it's true or not, against a Supreme Court justice is okay? He's going to be a lifetime appointment to the highest court in the land. He should be above board in every area. There shouldn't be any questions at all. But
right, he still hasn't told us who paid off his gambling debts.
Yeah, gambling debts. What are the other 90% of documents saying? Why are they hiding them? What would it take an average Republican voter to accept that this is not okay in the case of a Republican? Because I know they would not think it's okay in the case of a Democrat.
Yeah, amen. That is the question. Thank you, Dion. Well said. Michael in Seattle, listening on our Pacifica affiliate KBCS there. Hey, Michael, what's up?
Hello?
Hey, Michael, you're on the air.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm listening to 91.3, the Bellevue caller station.
Yep.
Tom, I just discovered you, started following you, tried to get through on Friday, had a really good question about your take on the future of the Republican parties, but we'll talk about that another day. Brett Kavanaugh, got a silly question, but I hear nobody talking about whether, if this charge is accurate and he does have an investigation and a criminal charge, how does that affect any of his previous rulings? And if that does have an effect, then how does that affect whether he gets confirmed or not?
I think it would only affect his previous rulings if you could demonstrate that he had actually, if he were to confess or there was some demonstration that he had done something. The fact that he did not consummate the crime softens it somewhat, but the attempt speaks to character as opposed to criminality.
Which I agree, especially with your temperament viewpoint. I'm a proud father of 4 young adults. I completely agree with you on the temperament.
Yeah, you can tell, my kids, one was very shy, one was, very kind of outspoken and active, and one was, incredibly curious. And I mean, they all had all those characteristics in their various forms, but there were these dominant things that you could see when they were 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, and they're still there, and they're in their 40s, and 30s. So, and I think that that's true right across the board. My father used to make that comment about me. Speaking of which, great temperament today on the show, dealing with everyone's viewpoint. Thank you. Yeah, and I probably got that from my father, whether it was, a lesson or my DNA, I don't know. Probably a little bit of both. But Michael, thank you for the call. Excellent points all. Sarah in Chicago. Hey, Sarah, your thoughts? Sarah, listening on WCPT. Oops, Sarah. My fault, Sarah. I didn't push the button correctly. Sarah, I'm listening to Chicago's Progressive Talk. You're on the air.
Hi, Tom. I'm calling about a comment you made earlier about the Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this Kavanaugh nomination, it touches on an area that Me Too hasn't yet, because everything's been professional so far, but there's so much sexual violence that happens in high school. I mean, myself, I know several friends who experienced sexual violence in high school and didn't report it because, there's the whole, you're going to ruin his life kind of overtones that go above it. And I think that the idea that this nomination would get pushed through and that the accusations wouldn't be taken seriously just kind of disrespects all of those women that have experienced that kind of trauma.
Yeah.
And I'll take your comments off the air. Thank you.
Well,
Bye.
A quick question for you, Sarah.
Okay.
Do you think, I'm not a woman, and these are not the kind of conversations that men typically have with women throughout the course of their lives, so I really don't know. Do you think, or, based on your experience and the knowledge that you have and friends that you have and what you've seen in your life, and you're an adult woman, I'm assuming, do you think that girls are more vulnerable to sexual assault in high school than they are in college? Because we're putting all our attention on college right now.
And, 100%.
And it seems like in high school, girls would be far less likely to report something. That the social pressures in high school are so much greater because young people are just emerging out of the protective cocoon of their parents' world and defining who they are and what stage they're going to stand on for the rest of their lives in their adult worlds. And that seems to me like a point of maximum vulnerability. Am I right, or am I just imagining that?
I completely agree. I think that it has to do with, your exploration of self and who you are, and also a level of worth. There are a lot of girls that go through, ideas of, worth. And I myself have two sisters, and all three of us were assaulted by boyfriends in high school. So I think it's an area that Me Too hasn't touched on, and that there's a lot of women that have similar stories. And I think that if they come out and talk about it, that it'll add to the conversation.
Yeah, I know several women who were assaulted in high school as well. But I
think she's just so brave for coming forward and letting her name go out there and talking for all of these women. I think that it's really brave.
Well, it's a big deal. This guy is going to be ruling on whether women have control of their bodies. He's going to be ruling on whether women have rights in college. She's going to be ruling on, all of these things. The Supreme Court has seized so much power. They are essentially the kings of this country. Sarah, thank you for the call.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Back with more of your thoughts on Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court, Donald Trump, the state of the nation, where we're going, what do we do, and does this present an opportunity for Democrats? And welcome back. And David in Milwaukee, listening on Resistance Radio, our Pacifica affiliate in Milwaukee. Hey, David, what's up?
Hi, Tom. I just wanted to counteract with the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh.
Okay.
Number one, if this was really a rape situation, then the psychologist should have reported that immediately to the police.
She's not alleging that it was rape. She's alleging that he basically groped her, which, back 20 years ago or thereabouts, I guess this was, wasn't responded to the same way it is today. Forgive me.
All right. So when that was in 2012, it was actually about 30 years ago. Now we're about 35 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, I guess, that I'm suspect with it is that she doesn't remember the house. She doesn't remember how she got there. She doesn't remember how she left there. There's a lot of inconsistencies. Plus, she's already flubbed. She said there was 4 men. Now she's stating there was only 2 men.
No, her therapist wrote down that she said 4 men. She insists that she never said that her therapist wrote it down wrong. And number one. And number two, so what? If you were assault, for example, I was robbed in New York City back in the late 1970s, and by a cab driver. And I remember the look on the guy's face. I remember, his taking my wallet. I have no idea where I was in Manhattan at the time. I'm pretty sure it was a yellow cab, but I don't frankly remember getting in or out of the cab. What I remember is that vivid moment, right? Another time I was in New York City again, I put my sports coat on a chair on a bus that was the airport shuttle bus. And the guy behind me lifted my wallet out. I've had my wallet stolen 3 times in my life, and twice it was in New York City. And again, I can remember, looking at my jacket. I can remember seeing the guy. I can remember seeing the guy move his hand, and I can remember noticing that the bulge of my jacket was gone. And I confronted him about it, and he just denied it. The bus stopped, and he ran away. I can remember all that, but I don't remember what the hotel was. I don't remember what, when the date was. I don't, it's like we tend to remember the traumatic piece of a memory, and the stuff around it. If I said to you, David, 25 years ago today, where were you? You'd have no idea.
Well, don't you think, though, Tom, she would have mentioned it to somebody, that somebody would have corroborated
the
story that happened?
At the time? No, at the time she was a high school kid. High school kids are terribly embarrassed by that kind of stuff.
But that's why we have a statute of limitations, because You have all those years.
We're not
go
talking
by,
about a prosecution, David. Nobody's suggesting Kavanaugh should go to jail. This has nothing to do with statute of limitations.
I understand that, but I guess it's still destructive to his. Again, here he's trying to be nominated to be Supreme Court Justice. I think it's more of a smear campaign to get back with what happened with was it Merrick Garland more than anything. That's just
except
my
that she's not an elected Democrat. I mean, I get that position, and I'm sure that that's the official position of Fox so-called News, but I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. This is what's happening. This is it right here. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see where this goes. It's 51 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. It was a great day last Friday. Thank you so much. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really. It's 53 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. And let's see here. John in Los Angeles, listening on KPFK. Hey, John, your thoughts?
Hey, Thom Hartmann. Hey, I love you, man. I love all the work that you do.
Thank you, John. This is not a Trump cabinet meeting, so we can just get right into it.
Okay, well, let's get right into it. First off, Brett Kavanaugh, he's a bum. I know he's a bum. I mean, if you look at some of the stuff that he has actually judged on racially wise, he's a bum.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But the only thing I disagree with you on is the fact that people don't change. That's not true.
No, I'm saying people do change. It's just that it's a sufficiently rare thing that's why the core of all good fiction is that the character changes in the novel. That has to happen for a novel to work. And why is it that has to be in a novel? Why is it that so much of our mystery fiction starts out with a murder? Because people changing and murder are very, very rare. They happen. And all of us, I'm sure, can point to times in our lives and things in our lives that have changed. I have changed significantly throughout my life, both in my attitudes and my behaviors. And, some of those changes have been incremental. At least one that I know of has been rather dramatic. But that doesn't mean that temperamentally I'm not essentially the same person.
No, people do change their temperament too, Tom. I mean, look, maybe not with you and the other guys because of how you all grew up. But I grew up where I lost 74 friends and associates from the time I was 13 to the time I was 18.
Wow.
I grew up where my neighborhood was called Little Beirut, and the neighborhood 3 blocks away was called Afghanistan.
Mm.
And this was back then. This is back when the gangs were fighting with the drug cartel.
Mm.
There was a murder almost every 2 days, Tom.
But that's that's response to your local environment, John. But
wait a minute. Living under that environment, I had adopted an attitude for which I had to be aggressive and a bully at times.
Yeah.
But when I grew up and I started traveling, I'm no longer that.
Right.
I'm no longer a Christian either. I'm something else. but it all stems from, I mean, we're talking about this guy who grew up in a preppy town and going to a preppy school. Yeah, he can't act like that.
He grew up an entitled rich white kid. I mean, that's
only reason why he doesn't change is because he's
yeah. Okay, John. I have 1 minute left in this hour, and I've got a bunch of other callers here. I want to get in. I want to get at least one more. Thank you for sharing your opinion. Let's see. Mike in Los Angeles, listening on KPFK. Hey, Mike, you got the last minute. What's up?
Okay, once when I was a teenager, I was possessed by spirits in an encounter with a young lady. Yes, they were 200 proof alcohol, plus aquavit, plus stout, plus wine.
Whoa.
And I was there.
So you're suggesting Kavanaugh was the victim of demonic possession?
Alcoholic possession.
Uh-huh.
But even in that case, when I got around to fumbling with the bra hooks and the lady didn't want to go there, I accepted that as her choice.
You didn't put your hand over her mouth and turn the music up
and tell her to shut up.
Yeah.
And somebody who doesn't accept that someone has a right to the dispensement of their own body's functions is not fit to be a judge.
Yeah, I agree. This is a matter of judgment and temperament, in my opinion. And I'm not saying. And thank you, Mike. And I'm not saying that he should be convicted for this or necessarily that this should even prevent him from being on the court. But if it actually happened and he refuses to own up to it, you got a serious problem. Plus, this could extend the hearings and we could learn more about him.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
From United Nations headquarters in New York.
Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads, they pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. It was a great day last Friday. Thank you so much. We had a matching grant of $15,000, and it's enough to make you believe that, a synchrony or Edgar Casey's idea that, we're essentially at some level all one, we're all connected. Because I was like, we need to raise $15,000 to get this $15,000 match. And we raised about $40 less than $15,000. It's amazing. I don't know how you knew when to start and when to stop, but your contributions on Friday were perfect. We hit 30 grand. We are out of the hole that we were in last week, and this week we just need to make $10,000 a day for the next 5 days, and we're good. So if you haven't made a contribution to Free Speech TV yet, Or if you're new to Free Speech TV, this is how we pay for the network. It's how we pay for the electrons going from here to Denver. How Denver then, pays. Denver is where the satellite uplink is and where the headquarters for Free Speech TV is. And it's, like with most broadcast companies, they all have an office in Denver because that's the highest point in continental United States where you can beam a satellite reliably, a signal up to the satellite, right, from way up in the sky. And so it goes to Denver, and then it goes up to, your direct TV satellite or your dish TV satellite, and thus, arrives at your home. Or, it goes up to a communication satellite, and, gets onto the internet, into the broadband part of the internet, the big pipes, and comes to your home via Roku or Apple or Sling TV or freespeech.org or, whatever it may be. But here it is. And a fine thing it is. And we need to keep it going. So, the way that this network stays on the air and pays those bills and pays the bills for the 17 people who work at Free Speech TV in Denver and helps keep us connected to Free Speech TV and covers the cost of that connection is by you calling 877-378-8669. 877-378-8669. And you can make your contribution to Free Speech TV and keep this network going and help us hit our $10,000 goal. And maybe I put that out in the ether, 10,000. It's not that much. I mean, a lot of local local NPR stations raise that much in an hour or two in their fund drives. We should be able to do this. It's, become a supporter of Free Speech TV. This is the fall pledge drive. Make your pledge. With a $30 gift, we get a mini kit, the Free Speech TV mini kit. It's a sticker and a button. Very nice sticker, very nice button. It's about voting. The whole idea is, vote Free Speech TV, right? What that means is that, we're supporting you in making sure that you're registered to vote, making sure that the Republicans have not yet purged your name from the voter rolls. If you're a Democrat, the odds are about 3 or 4 times greater that you'll be purged than if you're registered as a Republican or an independent. And show up, right? Participate and get a few friends to come with you. You get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. It's been a few years, I think, since we've offered this as a premium. It's a great book. It is just a marvelous book with the history of America, the story of, Matthew Lyon pointing out that Roger Griswold on the floor of the House of Representatives in the 1790s, he was a Federalist, and he said, "You're just in favor of the rich and powerful." And Griswold came after him with a poker that he picked out of the fireplace there in the Senate or the House of Representatives. And John Adams had Lyons arrested and sent back to Vergennes, Vermont, to sit in an unheated jail cell for 1.5 years until the election of 1800 when Thomas Jefferson freed him. Anyhow, that is $72. That's in the book, The We the People. $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. It's the T-shirt button and bumper sticker. With a $240 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie kit. That's the dark gray hoodie plus the bumper, plus the sticker and the button. With a $360 gift, which could be $30 a month for a year, you get the Free Speech TV Vote for Our Future pack, which is both the T-shirt and the hoodie and the bumper and the sticker and the button. And with $480, you get all that stuff with the $360 contribution plus a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. And with a $1,000 gift, come on over here and we'll go to lunch. I had lunch with, I think there was 7 or 8 donors and their spouses or significant others. Altogether, we were 11 people, but Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech TV, was here and joined us, which is great. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
And greetings with all the people who are supporting Free Speech TV. Many of them came to visit our studio today. It's just great having these people in the studio, and we all want to say to you, tag your it!
Hello, my name is Tom Toussaint. My wife and I, Barb, have been supporting Thom Hartmann and Free Speech TV for over 14 years. We believe it critically important that you receive the other side of the news, as compared to corporate-held news media such as so-called Fox News. I encourage all of you to give what you can If you value Tom, Amy Goodman, and others, continue to support Free Speech TV.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Boy, we've got a bunch of stuff all kind of happening at the same time. You've got Americans concerned, very concerned, that our creepy porn president, who has unprotected sex with porn stars, is now trying to appoint creepy judges to the Supreme Court, creepy, rapey judges, maybe, we'll see. And, Ken Starr, excuse me, Robert Mueller looking around and saying, what's going on with this creepy porn president? Let's check in with Ken Starr. He has a new book out. It's called Contempt, a memoir of the Clinton investigation. It's not particularly friendly toward the Clintons. He was the chief counsel, the independent counsel, investigating the Clintons from 1994 to 1999. After Robert Fisk said, okay, that's it, Travelgate, Filegate, Vince Foster, nothing here, in came Ken Starr. Ken, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you, Tom.
You said a couple of days ago on TV, we don't want investigators and prosecutors out on a fishing expedition. I'm baffled by that, and I'm baffled by your choice to follow apparently Brett Kavanaugh's advice to go for the most salacious details. I remember driving down the street back in the day there, listening on NPR as they were reading from your report about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky having sex with a cigar in the Oval Office, and thinking, what the hell does this have to do with the governance of the United States? Why did you go down that road?
Yeah, because the president lied under oath, Tom. He lied in the civil deposition, a sexual harassment lawsuit filed in federal court. That's why the book is named Contempt. Bill Clinton is the only president in American history to have been held in contempt. Not even Richard Nixon was held in contempt. And then in terms of the detail, because the President of the United States put us to the task of proving that he had committed perjury, that he had obstructed justice, that he had suborned perjury.
But this was all because you launched this great penis hunt in 1994. Well, actually, it didn't become the great penis hunt until 1997. I mean, you tried over and over and over to take this guy down. You personally reopened the Vince Foster investigation. Travelgate, Filegate, Whitewater. Yeah, if he was involved in financial improprieties, with the Whitewater investigation, turns out he just lost money in a stupid investment. But if that had been something that had then been used to promote his campaign, as it looks like perhaps we're seeing with Trump and the Russians and all this other kind of stuff, then sure, look into that. But everything you just described, Ken Starr, had to do with a blowjob. I mean, I don't see where that, please name for me, outside of Jimmy Carter, one president in the history of the United States that there's not some documentary evidence that he had an affair while he was in the White House.
Hey, Tom, let me correct a profound misunderstanding on your part. So if you'll give me the floor for about 30 seconds, the Monica Lewinsky investigation was authorized by Janet Reno. Why? Because of, you can characterize it any way you want, but we're talking about, ignore it if you will, perjury and subornation of perjury in a federal civil rights case. Janet Reno said, I have a duty under the law. We're talking about law. And the facts that we recounted, unfortunately, they were, of course, they're unfortunate, but Bill Clinton could have spared us all. You, riding in your car, if he had chosen to tell the truth and not lie under oath and go into contempt. So that's just.
But why is it any of our damn business, Ken? I mean, why did the Republicans? You had, Newt Gingrich was boffing Caligula or Callista, I guess is her name.
you know, in the back room while he was married to his second wife while this was going on. Bob Livingston was having an affair literally in his office while this was going on. Bob Barr was having an affair literally in his office while this was going on. And these were the guys who were leading the morality charge against, oh my God, we've got a president who assaults women. And you jumped into it with both feet, and Brett Kavanaugh says, go for the most salacious stuff. And I end up listening to crap about cigars and vaginas in my car. I don't want to hear that. I'm reluctant to even say it right now on the radio. I'm just astonished, you know, particularly after, you know, your involvement at Baylor, you know, the allegations that you were covering up sexual crimes at Baylor, that you would even go there.
Well, you're a very good characterizer, but you're not dealing with the fundamental legal fact. You've not mentioned Attorney General Janet Reno. You have not mentioned, Tom, the Special Division of the U.S. Courthouse, who then looked at.
But it wouldn't have gotten there if the Republicans hadn't been launching what I would, you know, I think that Donald Trump would call a witch hunt.
Is this a conversation, or do you want to just continue ranting?
Well, normally in conversations, people interrupt people from time to time. I'm trying to give you, you know, as much time as you need. Go for it.
Well, thank you. Well, you're repeating yourself, and so I'm going to repeat myself. You're using very, very interesting language. I'm not using the language. You're upset by the language. What I'm saying to you, two things. Attorney General Reno authorized the Lewinsky investigation because you refused to use a P word that begins with perjury. You refuse to.
No, what I'm saying, no, Ken, what I'm saying is that you're trying to start this entire narrative at that point in time when when the political pressure had come on Janet Reno as the Attorney General, that she had to do something, say something, flip some switch, but that political pressure was the result of a campaign that started in 1992, right after the election, where a bunch of billionaires decided the Arkansas Project and other things that subsequently came along decided we've got to take this guy down and we're going to do whatever it takes. And so maybe he was in this bad land deal. Oh, nothing there. Oh, maybe his wife did something wrong at the Rose Law Firm. Oh, nothing there. Oh, maybe it was wrong that he fired some travel agents. Oh, nothing there. Well, what else is there? Oh my God, this woman had an affair with him in the White House. This is it. We're going to go. You're completely ignoring all that history.
Tom, you are rewriting history. Tom, will you please listen? You're on a rant, with all due respect.
That's what I do for a living.
Good. Well, you're very good at it, but you're not very good with the facts. 14 criminal convictions. And if you have read my book, and you're not talking about my book, which is your business, you have a First Amendment right to do
your book is Contempt, a memoir of the Clinton investigation by Ken Starr.
Thank you. And
you're welcome.
Book, thank you. It's very kind. The book is about, and the story is told, and you can reject the story, of how we considered the indictment of Hillary Clinton for perjury and other offenses in connection with the Arkansas phase of the investigation. We also had reason to believe that Bill Clinton lied under oath with respect to the Arkansas phase of the investigation. Right. So we had
Paula Jones you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the Arkansas phase.
Before Paula Jones. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the Whitewater phase of the investigation.
But those charges were dismissed is not the right word. Not pursued. So why resurrect them?
No,
that was when he was governor.
Before, that's what the appointment was of Robert Fisk and of yours truly. Look into this. And so what we did it professionally. We gathered the facts, we assessed the facts, and we determined, both with Bill and with Hillary, with the president and the first lady, that we did not have sufficient evidence to bring charges. That doesn't mean we didn't find anything. We found lots. We found lots and lots and lots, but we made a professional judgment that we didn't have the evidence to prove their guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. I lay all this out in contempt. You can ignore it. You can characterize it any way you want to.
Yeah.
That's what you're paid to do.
I get it. So now we've got Donald Trump, who on Air Force One lied to the press and said, I didn't pay any money to that porn star. I didn't have an affair with her. I know nothing about it, and we now know that all of that is untrue. In fact, we have it in his own words. Is he impeachable?
Of course he's impeachable.
Should he be impeached for that?
At this stage, and one of the messages of my book, which you've been kind enough to mention, is don't go there, American people. I think one of the lessons that we learned from the Clinton years is even if a president committed crimes, and lying to the American people is not a crime. We haven't made that a crime yet. Congress could make it a crime. They have made perjury and obstruction of justice a crime. And no one seriously disagrees with the proposition that I know of, that the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, committed crimes. Now,
the crime of perjury.
Perjury, obstruction of justice. We also included 9/11.
But he was trying to. I mean, I don't want to justify this. I'm as uncomfortable with that as probably anybody. But he was trying to cover up an affair from his wife and from the country as well. Lyndon Johnson had affairs. Richard Nixon had affairs. Ronald Reagan, maybe not. Who knows? I mean, he was kind of senile at that point, but he certainly had had an affair with what's her name? When he was married to his first wife. Jane
Wyman.
Jane Wyman. Name a president who didn't have an affair. I don't. I guess we're relitigating the Clinton thing, but
I know you're coming back to. But here's the short answer. The morality of relationships is for the American people and even for Congress to say we're going to impeach by virtue of marital infidelity. That does not happen. What does happen is if a president commits crimes, and that's what's being investigated right now by Bob Mueller. If he committed crimes, I'll bet you we're going to find out about that information. It's going to come to light because we have in this system, as I try to describe in the book, a rule of law system. So you can dismiss things any way you want to on rhetorical, political grounds or just good government, but don't lie. I mean, haven't we seen in the Trump investigation a number of people who pled guilty to lying to the FBI?
Yeah, I'm frankly far more concerned about Trump lying to us that he was going to give us health care insurance that was cheaper than Obamacare. I'm concerned about Trump lying to us that he was going to protect the environment. I'm concerned about Trump lying to us that he was here for the little guy and he was going to bring back jobs. But anyway, that's my rant business. Ken Starr, his new book is called Contempt, a memoir of the Clinton investigation. Ken, thanks for dropping by today.
Hey, thank you, Tom.
Good talking with you. We'll be right back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
We'll be back with your thoughts on all of this, plus our creepy porn president, plus what's going on with Kavanaugh. We just did a whole hour on that. Stick around. And welcome back. Let's see here. Who's calling on Free Speech TV? Corky in Rochester, New York. Hey, Corky, what's on your mind today?
Hey, how you doing, Tom?
I'm well.
Yeah,
what's up?
If this Kavanaugh gets in there, it's going to be the end of progressive liberals for a decade.
3 decades.
Maybe 3. I'm thinking 2. But this guy has got no morals, I don't believe. He's a liar, just like Trump. Trump's getting his cronies in there.
He's a toady for the billionaires. That's everything you need to know.
That's enough, ain't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is a wholly owned creature of of the Koch network, and he owes his career to them. He's the Federalist Society made this guy. Federalist Society heavily supported by the Kochs. I'm with you, Corky. Thank you. Very, very well said. Let's see here. Karen, watching Free Speech TV in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Hey, Karen, what's on your mind today?
Oh, hello, Tom. Yeah, I'm calling because you're a person of history. Let's look at sexual assault and how it's changed throughout just the last 50 years.
Okay.
If a person in high school, like if it had been me in high school and something happened to me back in the 60s or 70s, and I had tried to say, oh, that person assaulted me, if it were a male or whatever, or whomever, I might have been overlooked because of it.
Well, and if that person hadn't successfully raped you back in the 60s and 70s, and I was around back then, in all probability, people would have shrugged their shoulders. It was not, I mean, the standards have changed considerably in 40 years.
Absolutely. So even since 2012, things have changed. So if this woman was coming up, I don't know, if she were in high school in the 80s, and she tried to accuse someone of having done it, of course she was going to, or of attempting to, she would have been totally poo-pooed. You know, it's not something that would have been brought up, but she can come forward now and say it. And for one thing, she has a lot of strength in numbers because so many other women have said it.
Yeah.
But even as an assault between a husband and wife used to be considered, hey, that was perfectly legal. Now it's not. It can be perceived as being a rape.
Right. And that's a good example of how the standards and mores of our times have changed in 50 years.
Have changed. Right. So I think the other portion of it is that I forget. I was something we were going to talk about. You were talking about earlier about a person's personality, and that is that if we know that, we don't know if it's alleged that Brett has difficulties drinking. What's that going to do? Even when he was a kid, what's that going to do now? But if he went out and had a couple of drinks and felt kind of rowdy, and then went and made a decision on the court.
Yeah. Or started making decisions based on his financial interests or his love of gambling or whatever. I mean, yeah. Karen, thank you for the call. And thanks for watching us in Farmington Hills. We'll be right back. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook.
What a day. Mark in San Diego. Hey, Mark, you wanted to continue our conversation from the first hour about Brett Kavanaugh's alleged sexual assault now that Dr. Lane, is it? Dr. Ford has come out and stood behind her accusations. Go ahead.
Yeah, I keep reminded of the William Wordsworth quote, "The child is the father of the man." When I was 17, I would no more think about trying to rape a girl than I would jump off the bridge. I mean, it is relevant. Even though it was 30 years ago, it speaks to this guy's wiring. His mind, there's a screw loose somewhere, and unless he's had years and years of therapy, which I don't see any evidence of, this is who he is. And, honestly, all you need to know about this guy is that picture when the father of that kid that was killed in Parkland tried to shake his hand, and he turned around with, he turned away with disgust and disdain on his face. Yeah. This guy has no empathy.
Well, this was the point that I made in the last hour in my opening rant, that I think that temperamentally, and temperament is something we are born with. It's the baseline of our disposition. It has nothing to do with race or religion or culture or even where you're born. It's just, you know, some people are literally, anybody who's a parent knows this. You've watched your own kids from the time they were born until they became adults. Some are shy right from the get-go all the way through until they're in their 60s and 70s. Some are, you know, very outgoing and gregarious. Some are bullies. Some are, you know, kind of more like victims. I mean, you know, these are temperamental baselines. And when I saw Brett Kavanaugh on TV, and I saw him essentially sneering at Democrats who were trying to ask him questions and talking in a condescending fashion to them, and then I saw him sucking up to Chuck Grassley and just being so unctuous, you know, with Ted Cruz, you know, it suddenly hit me. I know this guy. I've worked with people like this in the media for years, and you find these people in particular in places where there's a small opportunity for a large amount of power or money. You find them in show business and you find them in politics, and you find them at the high levels of corporations. And I refer to that personality type as kiss up, kick down. They suck up to the people who they perceive as having power over them, and they're so gracious and unctuous and everything. And then the people that they don't need, or the people that they just consider as objects to be used, which is obviously how Brett Kavanaugh saw this woman or this girl at the time, you know, they just don't give a damn. And it really became clear to me that he's one of these kiss up, kick down people. And Mark, I think you've nailed it. This is not part of the behavior that we learn as we grow up. I mean, obviously the rape part, I'm sure he's got that impulse under control. But how does that impulse translate into other areas of his life? I'm not sure, but in all probability, where he might be doing something like this.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
I mean, you know, putting his hand over her mouth, shoving her down on the bed, turning up the music so people can't hear her scream, that tells you what kind of person he is, I think. It was a great day last Friday. Thank you so much. We had a matching grant of $15,000, and it's enough to make you believe that, you know, a synchrony or you know, Edgar Casey's idea that, you know, we're essentially at some level all one, you know, we're all connected. Because I was like, we need to raise $15,000 to get this $15,000 match. And we raised about $40 less than $15,000. It's amazing. I don't know how you knew when to start and when to stop, but your contributions on Friday were perfect. We hit 30 grand. We are out of the hole that we were in last week. And this week, we just need to make $10,000 a day for the next 5 days. And, you know, we're good. So if you haven't made a contribution to Free Speech TV yet, or if you're new to Free Speech TV, this is how we pay for the network. It's how we pay for the electrons going from here to Denver. How Denver then, you know, pays. Denver is where the satellite uplink is and where the headquarters for Free Speech TV is. And it's, you know, like with most broadcast companies, they all have an office in Denver because that's the highest point in continental United States where you can beam a satellite reliably, a signal up to the satellite, right, from way, way up in the sky. And so it goes to Denver, and then it goes up to, you know, your DirecTV satellite or your Dish TV satellite. And thus, you know, arrives at your home, or, you know, it goes up to a communications satellite, and, you know, gets onto the internet, into the broadband part of the internet, the big pipes, and comes to your home via Roku or Apple or Sling TV or freespeech.org or, you know, whatever it may be. But here it is, and a fine thing it is. And we need to keep it going. So, you know, the way that this network stays on the air and pays those bills and pays the bills for the 17 people who work at Free Speech TV in Denver and you know, helps keep us connected to Free Speech TV and covers the cost of that connection is by you calling 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, and you can make your contribution to Free Speech TV and keep this network going. And help us hit our $10,000 goal. And maybe I put that out in the ether, 10,000. It's not that much. I mean, a lot of local local NPR stations raise that much in an hour or two in their fund drives. We should be able to do this. It's, just, become a supporter of Free Speech TV. This is the fall pledge drive. Make your pledge. With a $30 gift, we get a mini kit, the Free Speech TV mini kit. It's a sticker and a button. Very nice sticker, very nice button. It's about voting. The whole idea is, vote Free Speech TV, right? What that means is that, we're supporting you in making sure that you're registered to vote, making sure that the Republicans have not yet purged your name from the voter rolls. If you're a Democrat, the odds are about 3 or 4 times greater that you'll be purged than if you're registered as a Republican or an independent. And show up, right? Participate and get a few friends to come with you. You get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. It's been a few years, I think, since we've offered this as a premium. It's a great book. It is just a marvelous book with the history of America, the story of, Matthew Lyon pointing out that Roger Griswold on the floor of the House of Representatives in the 1790s, he was a Federalist, and he said, "You're just in favor of the rich and powerful." And Griswold came after him with a poker that he picked out of the fireplace there in the Senate, or the House of Representatives. And John Adams had Lyons arrested and sent back to Vergennes, Vermont, to sit in an unheated jail cell for 1.5 years until the election of 1800, when Thomas Jefferson freed him. Anyhow, that is $72. That's in the book, the We the People. $120 gift. You get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. It's the T-shirt button and bumper sticker sticker. With a $240 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie kit. That's the dark gray hoodie plus the bumper, plus the sticker and the button. With a $360 gift, which can be $30 a month for a year, you get the Free Speech TV Vote for Our Future pack, which is both the T-shirt and the hoodie, and the bumper, and the sticker and the button. And with $480, you get all that stuff with the $360 contribution, plus a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. And with a $1,000 gift, come on over here and we'll go to lunch. I had lunch with, I think there was 7 or 8 donors and their spouses or significant others. Altogether, we were 11 people, but Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech TV, was here and joined us, which is great. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
And greetings with all the people who are supporting Free Speech TV. Many of them came to visit our studio today. It's just great having these people in the studio, and we all want to say to you, tag your it!
Hello, my name is Tom Toussaint. My wife and I, Barb, have been supporting Thom Hartmann and Free Speech TV for over 14 years. We believe it critically important that you receive the other side of the news, as compared to corporate-held news media such as so-called Fox News. I encourage all of you to give what you can. If you value Tom, Amy Goodman, and others, continue to support Free Speech TV.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime luxury Alaskan cruise on the Regent 7C Mariner, July 24th, 2019. For more information, Keen Luxury Travel, 800-856-1155. And did I mention, we'll be getting active on board with special events with yours truly, me, as we visit Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, Sitka, Hubbard Glacier, and Anchorage.
It's 34 minutes past the hour. Brett Kavanaugh, first of all, as soon as this allegation came out, Chuck Grassley had a letter from, 35 women? 65 women. Thank you, Sean. 65 women who, quote, knew him in high school, although he went to an all-boys prep school, little Mr. Preppy Brett, and saying what a wonderful guy he is. Well, now the news companies have tracked down those 65 women, and only 2 of them will still go on the record saying, yeah, he was a wonderful guy. 63 of them are like, I'm sorry, no comment. Meanwhile, I printed this out, and Scheer came out and said, you really want all these pages of names? I mean, it's just page after page after page of Yale School graduates who have written an open letter saying that
well, for example, without a doubt, Judge Kavanaugh is a threat to the most vulnerable. He is a threat to many of us, despite the privilege bestowed by our education, simply because of who we are. And many of them are saying that because they are women. And they say he is morally bankrupt. These are Yale Law School, which is, of course, where he went to school, graduates. Stay Informed tweeted something really interesting. There are 5 sitting senators who were sitting during the Thomas confirmation to the Supreme Court. Shelby, Grassley, Republican Shelby, Republican Grassley, Mitch McConnell, Republican Orrin Hatch, and Democrat Senator Pat Leahy. The only one who voted no on Clarence Thomas, who was also accused of sexual harassment, or I'm not sure that it was characterized as assault at the time, but sexual harassment. The only one who voted no was Leahy. All the Republicans voted, yeah, no problem. We're good with Clarence Thomas. It's pretty strange stuff. Tripper in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Tripper, what's up?
Hey, Tom. There's an article in CNN today that puts to rest any arguments about why Ford came forward. And her lawyer is quoted as saying that she actually had a great deal of ambivalence about coming forward, and that she was planning on keeping her allegations confidential.
That's correct.
And that the decision was essentially taking away from her as those allegations were leaked. She didn't like come out on her own and say, "Oh, well, we had to stop Kavanaugh." These were leaked.
That's correct.
It was only after that she was approached by members of the press that she was like, "Okay, well, I guess it's out. I might as well, deal with this."
Yep.
And
all true.
And the lawyers quoted as saying she's now going to have to live with the tremendous efforts of people trying to annihilate her, discredit her, and she says she's telling the truth. She took a polygraph. She mentioned this in her therapy sessions in 2012.
Yep. Amen. And now she's going to have to live with death threats from right-wing crazies who think that Donald Trump is the Messiah.
This isn't something someone would have chosen to do for a political move. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Thank you. Thank you for that,
You're
Tripper.
welcome.
Well said. Jennifer in Oak Creek, Colorado. Hey, Jennifer, what's up?
Hey, Tom. I just want to give you some history here. I went to school the same exact time as Brett Kavanaugh. I went to a private all-girls Catholic high school. The private all-boys Catholic high school was biased. I was attacked by a group of boys, and I only got away because I'm a fighter, and I've never told anybody. And I just finally told my husband last night, and you know what? It sucks. Pardon me. But this woman, this is why we don't come forward. And back then, you would never come forward. Even if you were raped, you wouldn't come forward. You just wouldn't, because people wouldn't believe you. And it would always be blamed on the girl. Oh, well, she had a drink of beer. Oh, well, it's because of what she wore. I mean, anything to put it off and the blame off of the boy. And these boys that did this to me were boys that I went to the Catholic grammar school with and grew up with.
Yeah.
And it actually started back then. They used to have this National Goose Month where we had to wear shorts always underneath our uniform skirts because they would fling our skirts up and try to goose our butts.
Really?
So,
this was a thing in
this,
Catholic school?
Yes. So, and I didn't start until 5th grade. I was in public schools until then.
Uh-huh.
And then this never happened in public schools.
Yeah.
So this is, this is crazy. Carolyn, who came out, we're not in a court of law here. We're talking about morality. We're not trying to convict him of a crime. So we don't need beyond a reasonable doubt. This woman is believable 100%. And
yes.
I believe her.
She has absolutely nothing to gain and everything to lose. She tried to share this story anonymously in June with her congresswoman on the assumption or in the hope, I'm guessing, that there might be other women who would corroborate, who would have similar stories, and you could see a trend like we can see, obviously, with the predator-in-chief, Donald Trump. And, apparently no other women have come forward yet. It's been less than a week. It's the same thing with Harvey Weinstein. You had a couple of women come forward, and then boom, the dam broke. And, so she was hoping that she could stay in the background. and then her name got leaked, and boom, all hell broke loose, and pretty soon she's going to have Nazis shadowing her house. I mean, that's how bad it is. So she's got nothing to gain from this and everything to lose, and she's got to be scared for her life.
Everything. She has
Yeah.
no privacy anymore.
Yep. Well said.
And this is not something that you just get over. And then it's like these other people saying, "Oh, just get over it." No.
Yeah.
This is just like when you were assaulted and your wallet was stolen. That's not something you ever really get over.
Well, I remember it. I don't wake up in the night.
But assault is assault. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's a scary thing.
Yep.
And I can tell you this. This happened to my best friend who was in the year behind me, and some of the same boys were doing it to her and had did it to her. She wasn't raped, but she was assaulted. I mean, we're talking about our pants pulled down, our top up, bra pushed up to our necks, and a whole group of boys doing this.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this, some of them are still the same.
Yeah, that's my point about temperament. Jennifer, thank you for the call. Your points are all very, very well taken. Jackie in Chicago. Hey, Jackie, you're on the air.
Hi, I just wanted to call and say you asked which president has not been accused of having an affair. President Obama. I'm sorry, I had to put that in.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Obama and Carter, I think, are the only two presidents in history.
That's the other one. Yes, Carter's
Yeah.
the second one.
Yeah.
But my thing is in regards to it, is that I'm listening to women. I was also sexually assaulted, and I have not told anybody. I ended up working with women who were sexual assault because I knew what I went through, and I'm strong enough to maybe get over it, which is not really over it, because every time I talk to a woman, then it helped me to heal. But to hear a woman come on your program and talk about, like, oh, it's 30 years ago or so, I never share it. I never share what I do. I just thought I kind of I know what my experience, so I know what I'm helping someone else. I said, okay, I went through that. What can I do to help her? But to say the woman is lying without even trying to find out if it's true, I am a little bit baffled. These are women who weren't able to vote or have a voice back in the day, and now we're telling them that they're liars.
Right.
Because some rich guy said it's not so. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I'm with you. Jackie, thank you for sharing your story. And, spot on, very well said. Annie in North Carolina. Hey, Annie, your thoughts?
Hi, Tom. How are you? Good afternoon here in North Carolina.
Thank you. I hope the storm is treating you. You haven't been injured by the storm.
No, I'm in the mountains, and we made it through it. I'm like up in Watauga County, 6 miles from the Tennessee border. I'm a 55 baby. I think you're a 50 baby?
Yeah, 51. I was born in May of 51.
Oh, okay. Well, and I went to Catholic school, and I just wanted to add, our bra straps were always snapped too in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
The boys through our uniform blouses. But the topic I wanted to talk about is adding to what you were discussing about, people that just think they're privileged and their whole life is they don't have to account for anything they do. My description is they were teachers' pets in grade school and high school, because I went to a Catholic high school also. It was the only co-ed Catholic high school in the greater Cincinnati area when I lived there. And so they were teachers' pets back then, and then they grew up to be office pets. Mm-hmm. I worked for attorneys from 1974 to 2007, and and part of my career was with the Department of Justice, and I could tell you stories about the crazy stuff that went on there. Walking around saying Happy James Earl Ray Day when we had Martin Luther King Day. This is like in 1985 when I started there.
Whoa.
So these people grew up to be office pets. They were teachers' pets. They never got in trouble. The nuns always sided with the boys a lot of times. And, that was my experience in Catholic school. And this Kavanaugh, his body language, to me, he looked like, my mother used to say to us when she caught us in a lie, "You've got guilt written all over your face." Well,
yeah,
that's what Kavanaugh looked like
when Kamala Harris was questioning him, and she said, "Consider your answer carefully, sir." And you could, and he looked like a 10-year-old who'd just gotten caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And this is my premise that he is a kiss up, kick down personality. He's one of these suck up types.
An office pet.
Yeah, the office pet, the teacher's pet, they're all part of that kiss up, kick down personality, that suck up to power and then crap on everybody below them. Yeah, Well said, Annie. Thank you very much for the call. It's 45 minutes past the hour. We're going to check in with Talk Media News in just a minute. Stick around. Well, in just 4 minutes. Stick around.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
We'll be back with more of your calls and the news of the day right after this. And welcome back. Margaret in Aberdeen, Washington, watching on Free Speech TV. Hey, Margaret, what's up?
Oh, my God. Thank you so much for your show. I love it. First of all, I'm a diehard progressive, but I can join hands with Trump supporters. Mm-hmm. I've been able to do that. And we're talking about, well, they called it back then, I was a victim of date rape at 15 years old. He was a 20-year-old college student, but I never forgot being powerless. But this man called me 15 years later to apologize.
Really?
He asked for forgiveness.
Wow.
And people can change if they admit the guilt. I mean, why do Muslims go to Mecca? Why do Christians go to confession, and why do atheists go to 12 steps? Because they're asking for forgiveness or atonement. Mm-hmm. And the only other thing I wanted to say is, I hate to get into this, but Hillary should release her emails, and Trump should release his tax returns and explain why or deny, and let the voters decide.
Why do you want to see Hillary's personal emails that have nothing to do with business or nothing to do with government?
Because everyone wants to see Trump's tax returns.
But Trump's tax returns have to do with his public behavior. Do you really want to see an email between Hillary and Bill Clinton about, what are we going to do for dinner? Or, why are you hitting on that girl next to you?
Because they all need to come clean, because both sides are
I'm not buying that. I think Hillary's entitled to have her personal emails, just like every other president has their personal emails private. George W. Bush, all his emails were on a private server. It was gwbush43.com, and 5 million of those emails are now missing.
I just wish they would come together. Yeah. Like I said, I've become friends. I am a diehard progressive. Socialist.
Okay.
And I have met so many nice Trump supporters that we garden together with, and we realize, we're all in it together.
So your basic message here, Margaret, is A, Hillary should release her emails, and B, Kavanaugh might have changed, even though he's not asking for forgiveness and he's not even confessing his crime. Am I getting that right?
No, I'm saying he needs to confess his crime.
Don't you think if he confesses his crime that he has lost his ability to be on the Supreme Court?
Yes.
So he's toast one way or the other. What if he doesn't confess his crime?
Then we need to fight him. Fight him.
Yeah.
I am a woman. I know what that he will do with Roe versus Wade, and I know what this man will do. And either he comes clean or we deny him.
Yeah. I get it. Margaret, thank you for the call. Thanks for watching Free Speech TV in Aberdeen, Washington. It is. Well, I don't know. It's a tough one because there's just this one single allegation of abuse. It's not like with Harvey Weinstein. I mean, that's when we started taking it really seriously as multiple, and Donald Trump and Bill Cosby, when the third one, the fourth one, the sixth one, the 10th one, and Bill Clinton for that matter, when they come in like that, then you start saying, we'll be right back. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads, they pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Find out what's going on in the world today. This report brought to you by goatsfortheoldgoat.com and Ellen Ratner's new book, Loving What You Do, Hybrid 2. On the line with us is the old goat herself, Ellen Ratner. Hey,
That's
Ellen,
right.
and I say that lovingly and affectionately.
It's actually very interesting. Today, Planned Parenthood just had a conference call on the Kavanaugh situation and what has come out about them, and what they're really suggesting is that it's like the Anita Hill vote. They are not talking about whether she's trustworthy or not. What they're saying is that the Thursday vote, which is supposed to be scheduled in the Senate on the Kavanaugh nomination, should not happen until there's an independent investigation. Well, I don't know how you investigate something that happened over 30 years ago, but they're saying that it needs to happen. And again, this was put together by Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Now,
and there's a broad call right across the Democratic Party, Ellen, to postpone the hearings. And it's not just because of Kavanaugh. If we postpone the hearings, we might be able to get some of that 90% of his documents when he was helping Bush torture and kill people that the Republicans are blocking from view.
Well, they did bring up the documents. That they did do. And they said that it was time that the documents came out and that people had a chance to review them.
Amen.
Okay. Now, Mia Farrow's daughter, she's married to Mr. Allen.
Mm-hmm.
She spoke to the New York Post. She said that Mia Farrow abused her. She was adopted daughter. Ronan Farrow, who is, of course, a journalist, said that this was not true. So we don't know who to believe, but she did speak to the New York Post today.
Yeah, that family has really had its share of troubles, shall we say.
Thank God I'm not part of that family.
Yeah, amen.
Okay, the Senate tonight, the House is out this week, the Senate is in, and they are going to be voting on the opioid bill tonight. Now, it's very interesting that opioid deaths have actually gone down. There's less people using opioids. However, because of what they are laced with fentanyl, they are actually causing many more people to engage in them, and not many more people, but the number of people engagement per usage is going up in terms of deaths, and they're very, very concerned about that. So, but there is a vote tonight on that bill. My guess is that anybody who's anybody votes for it.
Yeah, I mean, where this started out was Purdue Pharma pushing OxyContin through doctors to consumers, creating a massive opiate addiction problem. And then as the AMA figured this out and they started dialing back and telling doctors, you'll get in trouble, doctors cut off the prescriptions, and so people were still addicted. They started turning to fentanyl, which is being imported from China into the United States in huge
and
quantities.
That comes from the U.S. Postal Service sometimes.
That's right. That's right, because there's no inspection. And it's coming in from China, and maybe North Korea, who knows?
The Chinese don't care if we're all addicted.
That's right. In fact, they view it as turnabout as fair play for the opium wars of 1898.
Well, it was interesting. When I was in China, it's like they don't forget about World War II and what the Japanese did to them.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, that was 70 years ago. I'm not saying that you forget about stuff like that, but I'm saying, do you put it on the front page of your newspaper every day, which they do?
They have not forgotten that the British, maintained the opium addiction of millions and millions of Chinese for 100 years. They fought a war to try to stop the British from selling them addictive drugs. They lost that war and thus lost Hong Kong. And, now they're shipping addictive drugs into the United States. Gee, it's turnabout is fair play, right? Anyhow.
All right. The United Nations said that screenings will happen now at sea for asylum seekers to Europe. And if they are not approved, then they can be held, they can be sent back, and they will not be allowed to enter Europe.
Interesting.
Okay. Also, the president is saying that he's going to increase China tariffs by $200 billion. That's a B dollars. And what's very interesting about that is that in terms of the tariffs, what we're seeing is that China said that they'll respond to it after the president announces it.
He's announced it. Has he written? Is there a presidential executive order that makes it real?
Not at this point. I haven't seen it. Now there may be one, but they haven't sent it out.
And previous ones took effect 90 days after they were issued. Do you know if this is going to take effect, around Christmas, or is this right now?
I have no idea because we haven't even seen it. So it depends what he writes.
Okay.
If he writes, when he writes something. Okay, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Joe Biden spoke at Human Rights Campaign dinner in Washington this weekend, but Hillary Clinton also wrote about Trump in the Atlantic. Joe Biden went after Trump at the Human Rights Campaign dinner, and Hillary Clinton has written about it. So the Democrats are not keeping their mouths shut before the midterms.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Time Magazine has sold, again, $190 million. It just sold. There's also Sports Illustrated and something else, but that has not sold. This was sold to one couple.
Do we know their politics?
We don't know their politics. They say that they're not going to have their hand in the editorial.
Right. That's what Rupert Murdoch said about Wall Street Journal. Didn't
we'll
work out
see
so
what
well.
happens on that front.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, this Labor Day was very successful for websites. Over $2 billion were spent on on Labor Day for various kinds of, Amazon, et cetera, things that people buy on the internet. $2 billion. That's a first on Labor Day.
That's amazing. So you're talking about Labor Day sales.
That's right.
That's amazing. Ellen Ratner with Talk Media News, brought to you by goatsfortheoldgoat.com and loving what you do. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. It was a great day last Friday. Thank you so much. We had a matching grant of $15,000, and it's enough to make you believe that you know, a synchrony or you know, Edgar Casey's idea that, you know, we're essentially at some level all one, you know, we're all connected. Because I was like, we need to raise $15,000 to get this $15,000 match. And we raised about $40 less than $15,000. It's amazing. I don't know how you knew when to start and when to stop, but your contributions on Friday were perfect. We hit 30 grand. We are out of the hole that we were in last week. And this week, we just need to make $10,000 a day for the next 5 days. And, you know, we're good. So if you haven't made a contribution to Free Speech TV yet, or if you're new to Free Speech TV, this is how we pay for the network. It's how we pay for the electrons going from here to Denver, how Denver then, you know, pays. Denver is where the satellite uplink is and where the headquarters for Free Speech TV is. And it's, you know, like with most broadcast companies, they all have an office in Denver because that's the highest point in continental United States where you can beam a satellite reliably, a signal up to the satellite, right, from way up in the sky. And so it goes to Denver, and then it goes up to, you know, your DirecTV satellite or your Dish TV satellite, and thus, you know, arrives at your home. Or, you know, it goes up to a communication satellite, and, you know, gets onto the internet, into the broadband part of the internet, the big pipes, and comes to your home via Roku or Apple or Sling TV or freespeech.org or, you know, whatever it may be. But here it is. And a fine thing it is. And we need to keep it going. So, you know, the way that this network stays on the air and pays those bills and pays the bills for the 17 people who work at Free Speech TV in Denver and you know, helps keep us connected to Free Speech TV and covers the cost of that connection is by you calling 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, and you can make your contribution to Free Speech TV and keep this network going and help us hit our $10,000 goal. And maybe I put that out in the ether, 10,000. It's not that much. I mean, a lot of local FM, you know, local NPR stations raise that much in an hour or two in their fund drives. We should be able to do this. It's, you know, just, you know, become a supporter of Free Speech TV. This is the fall pledge drive. Make your pledge. With a $30 gift, we get a mini kit, the Free Speech TV mini kit. It's a sticker and a button. Very nice sticker, very nice button. It's about voting. The whole idea is, you know, vote Free Speech TV, right? What that means is that, you know, we're supporting you in making sure that you're registered to vote, making sure that the Republicans have not yet purged your name from the voter rolls. If you're a Democrat, the odds are about 3 or 4 times greater that you'll be purged than if you're registered as a Republican or an independent. And show up, right? Participate and get a few friends to come with you. You get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. It's been a few years, I think, since we've offered this as a premium. It's a great book. It is just a marvelous book with the history of America, the story of, you know, Matthew Lyon pointing out that Roger Griswold on the floor of the House of Representatives in the 1790s, he was a Federalist, and he said, "You're just in favor of the rich and powerful." And Griswold came after him with a poker that he picked out of the fireplace there in the Senate, and or the House of Representatives. And John Adams had Lyons arrested and sent back to Vergennes, Vermont, to sit in an unheated jail cell for 1.5 years until the election of 1800, when Thomas Jefferson freed him. Anyhow, that is $72. That's in the book, the We the People. $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. It's the T-shirt button and bumper sticker, or sticker. With a $240 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie kit. That's the dark gray hoodie plus the bumper, plus the sticker and the button. With a $360 gift, which can be $30 a month for a year, you get the Free Speech TV Vote for Our Future pack, which is both the T-shirt and the hoodie and the bumper and the sticker and the button. And with $480, you get all that stuff with the $360 contribution plus a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. And with a $1,000 gift, come on over here and we'll go to lunch. I had lunch with, I think there was 7 or 8 donors and their spouses or significant others Altogether, we were 11 people, but Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech TV, was here and joined us, which is great. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
And greetings with all the people who are supporting Free Speech TV. Many of them came to visit our studio today. It's just great having these people in the studio, and we all want to say to you, tag your it!
Hello, my name is Tom Toussaint. My wife and I, Barb, have been supporting Thom Hartmann and Free Speech TV for over 14 years. We believe it critically important that you receive the other side of the news, as compared to corporate-held news media such as so-called Fox News. I encourage all of you to give what you can. If you value Tom, Amy Goodman, and others, continue to support Free Speech TV.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Billionaire CEOs are buying new jets with their tax breaks. Seriously. Article in Forbes magazine about how prior to the GOP tax scam, see, you'd think we'd get stuff like this for ourselves, right? I mean, you know, before Reagan became president, you could deduct from your federal income taxes credit card interest. In fact, you could deduct any kind of interest, car loan interest, any interest payment that you made, you could deduct it from your taxes. Now, it's only mortgages. Unless you're a corporation, in which case you can deduct all interest, right? Isn't that sweet? Well, similarly with equipment, corporations typically have to time it. You know, they have to what's called amortize it, spread the cost of it over a period of years, and then deduct how much it's depreciated in value. It's called depreciation. And what the tax scam did is it changed that for jets. I doubt this is a provision in the Republican tax bill that was put in by somebody who works at General Motors, talking on the line, or, you know, some coal miner from West Virginia. No, this was some guy who owns a private jet and wants to buy a new one. So now they can fully depreciate their private jet in the first year. They can write off the whole thing. And guess what? They're doing it. Meanwhile, the Brett Kavanaugh nomination rolls along, but you have over 200, I believe it's 260 plus women from the Yale Law School, where Brett Kavanaugh went, signing a letter saying, no, this is an emergency. This guy is bad. He's bad for American society. He's bad for women. He's bad for children. He's bad for the environment. You don't want him on the Supreme Court. These are his Yale Law School peers. But now another one has come out. And these are women who attended the same high school that Christine Blasey Ford attended. Dr. Ford, Professor Ford, is the one who is accusing Kavanaugh of attempting to rape her back when he was 17 and she was 15 or 16. And, you know, these women in their letter say, we believe Dr. Blasey Ford, and we are grateful that she came forward to tell her story. It demands a thorough and independent investigation before the Senate can reasonably vote on Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to a lifetime seat on the nation's highest court. What Professor Ford is alleging, quote, is all too consistent with stories we heard and lived while attending Holton High School. Many of us are survivors ourselves. They don't say specifically they're survivors of Brett Kavanaugh, but, you know, this pervasive rape culture has been with us and around for a long, long time. And it's just now, I think, in the last few years, starting to dissolve in our public schools. It seems to be alive and well in the Betsy DeVos private schools and religious schools, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's cleaning up too. But I'm not seeing signs to that effect. And in fact, I'm going to just retweet this story right now. This is a tweet from Patricia Ann Kopp. In fact, I'll follow her. It's a really great story. And so you can see what it is I'm talking about. Different drummer over at Democratic Underground says from his Facebook page, or her Facebook page, I don't know which, says, I will not work together. This is
Democrats who are, and there's a few of them, who are saying, I'd like to work together with the Republicans. We can get something done. I will not work together to privatize Medicare. I will not work together to cut Social Security. I will not work together to end Medicaid. I will not work together to remove civil rights from anyone. I will not work together to destroy marriage equality. I will not work together to deny health care to people who need it. I will not work together to increase the profits of the insurance companies. I will not work together to deny medical coverage to people on the basis of pre-existing conditions. I will not work together to build a wall with Mexico or Canada. I will not work together to persecute Muslims. I will not work together to shut out refugees from countries where we destabilize their governments. I will not work together to lower taxes on the 1%. I will not work together to increase his taxes on the middle class and poor. I will not work together to help Trump use the presidency to line his own pockets and those of his cronies. I will not work together to weaken and demolish environmental protection. I will not work together to help to sell American lands off, especially national parks, to companies that then despoil those lands. I will not work together to enable the killing in any way of whole species of animals just because there's predators or inconvenient for a few, or because some people want to get their thrills, like Uday and Qusay Trump, from killing them. I added that part. I will not work together to waste trillions more on our military when we already have the strongest in the world. I will not work together to alienate countries that have been our allies for as long as I've been alive and longer. I will not work together to slash funding for education. I will not work together to take basic assistance from people who are at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. I will not work together to allow torture and black op prison sites. I will not work together to, quote, take their oil. I will not work together to get rid of common sense regulations on guns. I will not work together to eliminate the minimum wage and to eliminate unions. I will not work together to destroy so-called right-to-work laws that undermine and destroy unions. I will not work together to suppress scientific research, be it on climate change or fracking. I will not work together to increase the number of nations that have nuclear weapons. I will not work together to put even more big money into politics. No more Citizens United. I will not work together to violate the Geneva Convention. I will not work together to give the Ku Klux Klan, the Nazi Party, and white supremacists a seat at the table while normalizing their hatred. Those very good people. I will not work together to increase voter suppression. I will not work together to eliminate or reduce ethical oversight at any level of government. And, it goes on. I will not work together with 45 because I will not allow one man to feed on the fears of the populace, blaming minorities for their condition or their inability to thrive. Amen. Meanwhile, Justice Roberts doesn't need anybody to work together. A federal court, a three-judge panel in the D.C. Circuit, all three judges, one of them a Republican appointee, said that the Federal Election Commission regulations require that Karl Rove's GPS super PAC must disclose, Crossroads GPS super PAC must disclose its donors. Now, there's a waiting period. You can do it after a year, but you have to disclose your donors, which is starting to make the billionaires who own the right-wingers, the four right-wingers on the court, and made their jobs possible through the Federalist Society, John Roberts, Sam Alito, Clarence Thomas, was Scalia, that makes this all possible for them. That they're saying now that no, you don't have to. Judge Roberts stepped in. Justice Roberts stepped in on Saturday. He took off his weekend to say no. The billionaires, you can't disclose their names. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. Just let it go on. And meanwhile, we've got a creepy porn president who is, doing what he's doing. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Lyle in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Hey, Lyle, what's on your mind? Thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV. What's up?
Well, thanks for taking the call, Tom. I've been a long-time listener, going back to even before Air America. So I love your show.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work. I couldn't agree more with you about Kavanaugh. He was so smug sitting there because he knew he was going to get confirmed, but now somebody's done something about that. Even if it's, an accusation, it still could amount to something significant. So I believe the woman. I know all about male privilege through high school.
Yep.
These guys should be glad it wasn't one of my daughters. Okay.
Amen.
So, one last point, Tom. Trump gets away with the things he gets away with because we allow him to get away with some of that stuff. I worked 14 years at a state correctional institution. I worked with criminals every day. And I can tell you without a doubt, Trump is a criminal. The definition of a criminal is someone that does the forbidden and attempts to hide it.
Yeah.
And we should never mention his name. Everybody that gets before a television camera or a microphone somewhere, if they have an occasion to speak about Trump, it should be always include the title sex offender Trump, the president.
Yeah.
He is a self-confessed sex offender.
I rather like... Go ahead.
Go ahead. We should never allow an occasion to go by where that is not put in front of the American public and the world that we recognize he's a sex offender and we're not.
Yeah, we got to say it. Lyle, thanks for the call.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I kind of like Tucker Carlson's, creepy porn president. I mean, here he is. He's having sex with porn stars without a condom. That's kind of creepy. We'll be back. And welcome back. Russ in northern Georgia. Hey, Russ, you wanted to weigh in on Kavanaugh, Brett Kavanaugh?
Yes, Tom. I've been a lawyer for 31 years, and I think people are missing some of the point on Kavanaugh. As an attorney, you take an oath to defend the constitutions of your state and the United States, and you operate under a code of ethics. And we are, as lawyers, commanded to avoid even the appearance of an impropriety, much less the impropriety itself. So when it comes to this sexual assault, or alleged sexual assault, you might say, they always say, well, boys will be boys, and then the other side says, no, it's a sexual assault.
Well, I think it's important to note here, Russ, that Brett Kavanaugh has come out and twice now, forcefully denied that he knows this woman, that he ever did this, that he ever would even think of doing this. This is not who he is, etc. So he's making a very strong assertion of innocence, and it would be, I think, therefore, a good time to put this on pause and send some FBI agents back to his high school.
You hit the point dead on the head. I was too wordy about it. But the thing is this. She made a statement. She took a polygraph. She apparently passed the polygraph.
Yes.
And she's willing to stick her neck out and be thrown to the wolves to come up there and defend her position. Kavanaugh has come out and said, I didn't do it. I know her, but I didn't do anything, and I've never done anything like that my whole life. If he's proven to be a liar, not only will he lose his judgeship, he'll lose his law license. I mean, strap him to a polygraph and let's sweat this guy a little bit, because you can tell he has never really seen any heat or action. He's always been a yes man.
Yeah, he's always been the fair-haired boy, or whatever the phrase is. I guess that's kind of a racist phrase, but whatever. Yeah, he's
good work, Kyle.
Yeah, there you go. Russ, thanks for the call. Excellent points, all. Yeah, we've got a little more than a minute left here. Joe in Cupertino, California, watching Free Speech TV. Hey, Joe, what's up?
Well, I really appreciate your show. And golly, you get, what's his name, out of Pepperdine to come in, and that's how this kind of gets going. But my concern here about the Kavanaugh situation is that Diane knew about this when he was sitting in front of her. She didn't say nothing. Now, apparently, this has been something that's been known by a few people, that being the congressional representative and the senator, for a couple of months. But yet we didn't hear about it until, what was it? The story broke Thursday. I wanted to just point out, and this is something that I've observed, in the last election, we had a judge that was impeached in the same county. And it came from Santa Clara County, and it was it was the Brock case with the swimmer. And so they all gathered around and they got him impeached. And he's no longer a judge. Judge Persky, I think is his name.
Oh, this is because he let the rapist off. Right.
Right. So this is that same type of mentality that, you know, as you said, Grassley had 65 women the day after the announcement to come out. Yet Diane knew about this sometime in June. So I'm concerned that it seems like maybe we're going about this a different way. I don't know. Is it the abortion issue? Is that what it is? Or is it just they're trying to sully this guy?
I think it's that this woman was not willing to come forward, and therefore Dianne Feinstein wasn't willing to put it into the record. Now that the woman has come forward, the game has completely changed. And she's willing to testify, Joe, so that's what it needs to happen. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, home of the political revolution. And James in Spokane is on the line. Hey, James, what's up?
Hey, I was thinking, Tom, I've heard this before. I'm sure you have too. Too bad our national anthem is not America the Beautiful rather than a war anthem.
I agree.
Talking about Brett Kavanaugh, any justice, certainly Supreme Court justice, just want to chime in and repeat what was more or less said already. They must be beyond reproach. And clearly this man is not beyond reproach. Severely not beyond reproach.
Well, he lied in his 2002 and 2004 hearings before the House or before the Senate. He shouldn't be on the D.C. circuit right now because he committed perjury. Ken Starr, on this program was all about, oh my God, Bill Clinton committed perjury about a BJ. Therefore, he's not of good moral character. Well, we know now. I mean, the evidence is irrefutable that Brett Kavanaugh committed perjury before the U.S. Senate in 2002 and 2004. What the hell is he doing being nominated for the Supreme Court?
I agree, most totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Another point, Tom, about this so-called opioid epidemic.
Right.
As you and I know, it's more like a non-opium epidemic. If they had not outlawed opium in the first place, we wouldn't have this situation today.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I think all raw herbs, whether it's opium or coca, poppies or coca leaves, I think that all of that should be legal. And what you want to regulate are the extracts, the distillates. I'm with you, Jane. But my point of view is not the mainstream. Robin in Kingston, Washington. Hey, Robin, what's on your mind today? Thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV.
Yeah, no problem, Tom. This is a great opportunity to bust a couple of bubbles here. And I want to talk about the Ivy Prep high schools leading into the Ivy Leagues, and Georgetown and Stanford are sort of considered branch outs of the Ivy Leagues. I have two children who went through two of the Ivy Prep places, and here's what they do.
You have two children who went through these prep schools, these Ivy League prep schools?
That is correct. They're very good scholar athletes, and they got there through scholarships and help and whatever it might be. Moved on to Columbia and Harvard. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I know. And so what I'm going to say to you is that rich white men in this country have developed a system to keep a few white men rich. And this whole preparatory Ivy Prep special expensive, exclusive schools leading to higher exclusive schools, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, where most of our presidents and other high-ranking officials, that's how they go in. In these high schools, this is where, and Russ Baker in Bush's brain, made it very clear, this is where the sociopathy of some of the high school students is rewarded and crystallized. So I want to really bust a bubble here. And so many people on the left talk about, they hear, oh, your kids went to Harvard and Columbia. Well, that's wonderful. I'm saying they're snake pits in a certain way. There's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things, but boy, the top-end sociopaths are the problem in this country, and we are seeing it right in front of our eyes with Brett Kavanaugh. We are seeing it, what he did and does, and the guy that's protecting him is exactly the system that is in place. And women of this country, they already know it. They just are now starting to speak about it. In Harvard, it's finals clubs. In Yale, it's Skull and Bones. Every one of these Ivy League schools has these private little societies in there, and they're the psychopaths and sociopaths that move into politics, into banking, into corporations, into the intelligence community. They are the ones, and the only way to get out of this is to vote. And so, speaking of voting, I'm on a million different websites and campaigns, and the deep state's Democratic Party keeps on sending me out to vote for Biden. And anybody who wants to vote for Biden for president, I want to say 4 simple words. I'm old enough to watch and remember. Here are the 4 words: Clarence Thomas and Roberto Gonzalez. Now, that's all I really want to say, Tom. Thanks for doing what you do and being strong enough to let me talk.
Okay.
Today.
You're welcome, Robin. Thanks for the call. Joe Biden for president, if you'd like to weigh in on that, I'd love to hear your opinions on it. I think that he's going to be badly wounded by having been the author of the bankruptcy bill that makes it illegal for students to declare bankruptcy on student loans. But broadly speaking, I like Joe Biden. I think he's a good guy. I've met him. He loves to touch you when he's talking to you. I can tell you that. He's more touchy-feely than Al Franken is. I know both of them. And I don't think that there's any skeletons in his closet regarding that. They would have come out a long time ago. But I'm just. I'd like to see some fresh blood. I really would. And I mean that broadly speaking on both sides.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
And there is some extraordinary fresh blood in our party, who will be running for president. But it's really more a conversation to have after November. It was a great day last Friday. Thank you so much. We had a matching grant of $15,000, and it's enough to make you believe that, a synchrony or Edgar Casey's idea that, we're essentially at some level all one, we're all connected. Because I was like, we need to raise $15,000 to get this $15,000 match. And we raised about $40 less than $15,000. It's amazing. I don't know how you knew when to start and when to stop, but your contributions on Friday were perfect. We hit 30 grand. We are out of the hole that we were in last week. And this week, we just need to make $10,000 a day for the next 5 days. And, we're good. So if you haven't made a contribution to Free Speech TV yet, or if you're new to Free Speech TV, this is how we pay for the network. It's how we pay for the electrons going from here to Denver. How Denver then, pays. Denver is where the satellite uplink is and where the headquarters for Free Speech TV is. And it's, like with most broadcast companies, they all have an office in Denver because that's the highest point in continental United States where you can beam a satellite reliably, a signal up to the satellite, right, from way, way up in the sky. And so it goes to Denver, and then it goes up to, your DirecTV satellite or your Dish TV satellite. And thus, arrives at your home. Or it goes up to a communication satellite, and gets onto the internet, into the broadband part of the internet, the big pipes, and comes to your home via Roku or Apple or Sling TV or freespeech.org or whatever it may be. But here it is, and a fine thing it is. And we need to keep it going. So, the way that this network stays on the air and pays those bills and pays the bills for the 17 people who work at Free Speech TV in Denver and helps keep us connected to Free Speech TV and covers the cost of that connection is by you calling 877-378-8669, 877-378-8669, and you can make your contribution to Free Speech TV and keep this network going and help us hit our $10,000 goal. And maybe I put that out in the ether, 10,000. It's not that much. I mean, a lot of local local NPR stations raise that much in an hour or two in their fund drives. We should be able to do this. It's become a supporter of Free Speech TV. This is the fall pledge drive. Make your pledge. With a $30 gift, we get a mini kit, the Free Speech TV mini kit. It's a sticker and a button. Very nice sticker, very nice button. It's about voting. The whole idea is, vote Free Speech TV, right? What that means is that, we're supporting you in making sure that you're registered to vote, making sure that the Republicans have not yet purged your name from the voter rolls. If you're a Democrat, the odds are about 3 or 4 times greater that you'll be purged than if you're registered as a Republican or an independent. And show up, right? Participate and get a few friends to come with you. You get my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. It's been a few years, I think, since we've offered this as a premium. It's a great book. It is just a marvelous book with the history of America, the story of, Matthew Lyon pointing out that Roger Griswold on the floor of the House of Representatives in the 1790s, he was a Federalist, and he said, "You're just in favor of the rich and powerful." And Griswold came after him with a poker that he picked out of the fireplace there in the Senate and or the House of Representatives. And John Adams had Lyons arrested and sent back to Vergennes, Vermont, to sit in an unheated jail cell for a year and a half until the election of 1800, when Thomas Jefferson freed him. Anyhow, that is $72. That's in the book, the We the People. $120 gift. You get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. It's the T-shirt button and bumper sticker sticker. With a $240 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV hoodie kit. That's the dark gray hoodie plus the bumper, plus the sticker and the button. With a $360 gift, which can be $30 a month for a year, you get the Free Speech TV Vote for Our Future pack, which is both the T-shirt and the hoodie and the bumper and the sticker and the button. And with $480, you get all that stuff with the $360 contribution plus a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. And with a $1,000 gift, come on over here and we'll go to lunch. I had lunch with, I think there was 7 or 8 donors and their spouses or significant others. Altogether, we were 11 people, but Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech TV, was here and joined us, which is great. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
And greetings with all the people who are supporting Free Speech TV. Many of them came to visit our studio today. It's just great having these people in the studio, and we all want to say to you, tag your it!
Hello, my name is Tom Toussaint. My wife and I, Barb, have been supporting Thom Hartmann and Free Speech TV for over 14 years. We believe it critically important that you receive the other side of the news, as compared to corporate-held news media such as so-called Fox News. I encourage all of you to give what you can. If you value Tom, Amy Goodman, and others, continue to support Free Speech TV.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. This remarkable time that we're living in, kind of reliving Anita Hill right now. Only this time her name is Christine Blaley Ford, I believe it is. Don't have it right in front of me, but and you know what is this going to do now? The Democrats who who take money from the big donors who are supportive of people like Kavanaugh. Now those Democrats have a good excuse to say, you know, I was fine when he just wanted to end Roe v. Wade, or just, you know, when he was just going to, you know, loosen the campaign finance laws even more so that the billionaires could own even more politicians. I was fine with that. But, you know, his being a rapist or an attempted rapist, I don't know. I'm not sure I can go with that. So that helps out with, you know, Doug Jones and Doug Jones and Joe Manchin and Joe Donnelly and Heidi Heitkamp. They can all now say no problem. And Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, we'll see. Joey in Springfield, Missouri. Hey, Joey, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, hi, Tom. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I wanted to tell you, one of the things I don't hear mentioned enough is that this came out when she was in couples therapy.
Yes.
In 2012.
Yes.
And that's it's 2018 now, so it was long before he ever was coming up with a Supreme Court nomination. They came out in couples therapy, and her husband had to, he was mentioned by name, and her husband recounted it to the therapist. It's just, what's amazing to me is that it seems to me that no matter what they bring out on Kavanaugh, they're just going to call for a vote and confirm him anyway.
Well, it's like Garland. I mean, for a whole year, Mitch McConnell sat on that, and he just ignored everything everybody said.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They just ignore you.
Yeah.
It's like they don't represent America. They don't represent the public.
Nope. They represent the Koch brothers.
People.
They represent the billionaires. And the billionaires want Brett Kavanaugh because he's all business all the time.
Yeah, and people say, well, what we ought to do, what can't we do about it? We're almost powerless to do anything except vote.
And that's what we have to do. That's what's left. Well, there's two things that are left to us. One is we still have the right to free speech. I realize that, the Bush administration put some serious limits on that from the Patriot Act on down. But we still have the right, we still have the ability to inform our friends and our neighbors using social media, using, going to local events, using the telephone, talking to people in restaurants, whatever. And we still have the ability to make sure that our vote is being counted. So rockthevote.com, by the way, a great website for that kind of stuff. Joey, spot on. Thank you for the call. Richard in Chicago. Hey, Richard, thanks for listening to Chicago's Progressive Talk. What's on your mind?
Hi, it was about Ken Starr. As I listened to him, he asserted that Clinton was guilty of perjury, but then he said that they didn't bring charges because they couldn't prove it. So, it sounds like he's a judge, jury, and executioner, which was my problem with him was...
well, and not only that, he kept saying Janet Reno authorized the investigation. Well, it was because Ken Starr requested it.
Yes.
And I didn't know that at the time I was questioning him, or I would have brought it out. But I've seen it from several sources since then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then the next thing was the Paula Jones, the whole episode was always at its base unprovable because only two people were present. And
well, she alleged that there were Georgia State troopers who knew about it, and there were other witnesses. But I really don't want to relitigate Bill Clinton. I mean, we all know, I think we can all agree, maybe not, I don't know, maybe there's some Clinton diehards out there, but I think we can all agree that Bill Clinton was not faithful to his wife throughout his marriage. And, that if there was a woman who was attractive, by his definition, big hair, and big boobs, if there was a woman who was attractive by his standards and she showed any interest in him whatsoever, he would do his best to hop in bed with her. It's just, but that, that was also true of Jack Kennedy. I mean, I frankly, if it doesn't compromise national security, that's between him and his wife.
Well, yeah, that's the point. This was used as a cudgel by these guys, and it was never, and we all assume that Bill Clinton, but we don't really necessarily have complete proof of it, and it's just not. They used it to try to just trap him, and it morphed from this land deal, and it never would stop. So, for this guy to say that he committed perjury, well, then you should have gone forward with it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you said it well, Richard. Thank you very much for the call. Catstone in Coos Bay, Oregon. Hey, Catstone, what's up?
Well, I watched that film, Reversing Roe,
Yeah, isn't that amazing? That's just for people who don't know what we're talking about. Netflix has a new documentary. They just dropped it last week. It's called Reversing Roe, and it's an hour and a half, and you will not be able to even go to the bathroom or get a snack. I mean, it is so well done. You just can't stop. I mean, I watched the first 5 minutes thinking, well, we'll see. I thought I knew everything about this. It blew my mind. Back to you, Kat Stone.
Well, it really brings me back as I was watching it and getting more and more irritated or whatever, upset or whatever, that what we're talking about with reversing Roe is we're talking about enforced pregnancy.
Yes.
We're talking about slavery. We want to be able to tell women what they can do and when they can do it, and that they must. And there's this underlying thing, which I know people think I'm crazy to talk about this, but is that I think unconsciously they want to keep women barefoot and pregnant, so then they won't want to go out into the community and do things and go out into the country and take positions of power. Because they're afraid that we'll turn the tables on them. People who have been irritatingly talking about this in that way. And I want us to start talking about what it is, enforced pregnancy and slavery.
I agree. I'm wary of using the word slavery in any context that might be less than how brutal and awful it was, just like I don't like using the word Holocaust to describe anything other than the mass genocide of Jews in Germany or Native Americans in the United States. But I think your point is well taken. And, you know, there's this small group of people who represent about 34-35% of the American population, white men. And it's always been about that percentage. I mean, you know, we talk about the country's changing, but there were, in the beginning, there were a lot more Native Americans and whatnot. But this small 35% minority, we talk about majority control of the United States, white people, but no, it's white men who control this country and control most of the levers of power and have most of the opportunity. And it's white men who have been driving the Rush Limbaugh style feminazi hysteria about women competing with white men. And it's white men who, you know, back in the days of President Wilson with Birth of a Nation, you know, the movie that reinvigorated the Ku Klux Klan, it was white men who saw black men as competition and wanted to keep them down. I mean, that obviously goes way back before that, but in the modern era. And it's white men who fought, you know, tooth and nail right up until 1920 against the right of women to vote, and who continue to try to discourage women from voting. And so, you know, let's call this out. As a white man myself, it's quite obvious to me now, and it wasn't, frankly, for the first 40 years of my life, but it's quite obvious to me all of the advantages that I've had. And I wasn't born to wealth. I was, you know, my dad worked in a tool and die shop. I paid for my own college, you know, what little of it I had. I left home when I was 16, and I've been fully self-sufficient ever since. But still, I had white skin and a reasonable intellect, and you know, which was a powerful combination in the United States, and still is to this day.
Right.
And so anyhow, I'm with you. Kat Stone, thank you. Very, very well said. Let's see here, Nick in Long Island, New York. Hey, Nick, what's on your mind today? Thanks for listening to Sirius XM.
Thank you very much for giving me the time from a conservative perspective. What I'd like to know, though, is, you know, I know both sides, and I know there's a lot.
Both sides of what?
Both sides of the political aisle are, you know, you guys are very biased. We're biased as well. I'm not going to deny it. But the reality is, like, if we take this individual, right, who came out of left field, 11th hour, she's making these accusations about something that happened when he was 17 years old. 31 years later, she comes out, never told anybody about it. I would actually ask you, please, how can you say with definitively that he's guilty when you have 60 other women who have, on his behalf, said, we in his adult life have never experienced anything like this. This is out of character for him. It's atypical behavior, the description. We're going to believe one woman out of, I mean, automatically he's guilty. I've been hearing the left all day long saying he raped this woman or he attempted to rape this woman. What happened to the presumption of innocence?
Well, you haven't heard me
We're
say that
throwing
he...
this-
Hey, Nick, if you could pause for just a second, and I'll let you respond to me. I am not saying that he did anything. I am saying that it is alleged that he did this, number one. Number two, of those 65 women who had apparently signed that form some time ago, I'm sure Dianne Feinstein back in June, when she first heard about this, told Chuck Grassley, the chair of the committee, and her friend, by the way. And Chuck Grassley went to the Republicans, and they found these 65 women to sign this thing. Excuse me, I've got a cough. But only 2 of those women are still standing behind what they signed. Apparently, read the New York Times or the Washington Post. Only 2 of those women are still saying, yeah, we think Brett Kavanaugh was great. Meanwhile, 260 women who attended Yale Law School are saying this guy's a threat to the Republic. And over 200 women who attended his high school at the time have come out and said, the high school that the woman is accusing him of, the one down the road, because they were both gender segregated high schools. Over 200 women have come out and said, he was creepy. But set all that aside for a minute. Here's my concern. My concern is that this guy lied before the Senate, to their face in 2002, and he lied to the Senate in 2004. We just had Ken Starr on this show 40 minutes ago talking about how Bill Clinton lied about getting a BJ, and therefore he should have been impeached as president of the United States. Don't you think lying about receiving stolen partisan information from somebody who had hacked the computers of Democratic senators and passed that information along to Republican senators to help with judicial nominations, don't you think that that's even more impeachable than lying about a BJ, number one? And number two, we only have 10% of the documentation from his time in the Bush White House when he apparently was helping sanction torture and extrajudicial killings by the Bush administration and covering up war crimes. I think that if this allegation causes us to take a pause and actually look at his record, you could set this allegation completely aside and just go on the things that we already know. We already know he has committed perjury. I think he's disqualified. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you very much for letting me respond. Number one, I will look into that more, and I've heard both sides of it, but I will say this. Lying to the Judiciary Committee and telling senators what they want to hear has been a part of this process for decades. And please, I'm not ragging on it. I'm telling you the truth. Judge Sotomayor said that Heller was precedent and that it was settled law, because as much as Democrats today are asking is Roe settled law, in 2009, the Republicans asked Sotomayor if the Second Amendment and Heller was settled law. She said
right. Yes. She meant it the same way that Kavanaugh meant that Roe v. No, Kavanaugh said Roe v. Wade is settled law. That doesn't mean it can't be overturned. And she said essentially the same thing. That's not a lie. That's an evasion.
McConnell came across her desk and she said, there's no place in the Constitution where I can say you have a right to own a gun. She said in this Judicial Committee, she said, you did.
Nick, Sonia Sotomayor is not the person who's in front of the Senate right now.
What I'm saying is the past has happened. We know that. Every one of them knew that. We know this.
She was not. Sonia Sotomayor was not lying to the Senate about receiving stolen property. Saying that a Supreme Court decision is settled law is not a lie. It's a statement of fact. The question is whether you think it's rightly settled. And when Kavanaugh was asked that question, he refused to answer it. Nick, thanks for the call. Good try, but thanks.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
It's 48 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with more of your calls right after this. Welcome back. Willie in Florida watching Free Speech TV. Hey, Willie, what's on your mind?
Just sitting here watching the world go by. Hey, I've always wondered, 36 years is a long time to make an accusation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, and just right at the minute of his inauguration or his voting, or
confirmation is the word.
And then what about the old senator down there in Alabama? You know, they come out 40 years ago. Come on, man. I mean, you know, enough's enough. Shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We can't use that word on the air, Willie. And Shira, please note Willie's phone number so we can block him. It ends in 78. We just can't do that, Willie. I'm sorry. Shira's online. Shira, he's on line 7. You might want to talk to him. Eddie. Eddie, you're watching Sirius. We're in a break. Hang on just a second here. Zach watching Free Speech TV in Hollywood. Hey, Zach, what's up?
Good morning, Tom. I hope this isn't a stupid question, but I just want to ask you this. Can Barack Obama, as a former president, bring a civil suit representing the American people against Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan for denying him his due process and use their own obstruction as a president for denying Kavanaugh? I mean, they're trying to rush through this guy that's hiding 90% of his documents. It could be inconvenient. And here we've all witnessed what happened with Obama. And I mean, it's too blatant. It's too black and white for us not to bring this up.
Yeah. Well, anybody can sue anybody for anything, and certainly they could do it. The question is whether it would prevail at law and whether it would be good politics. And I suspect it would be a waste of time right now. But I could be wrong. I don't know. You know, some of the...
It'd be a gold star for us if we could prosecute for something like that. I mean, they were obstructing.
Yeah, and some of the biggest right-wing victories have been the result of lawsuits that have been brought by, you know, these right-wing think tanks that do nothing but crank up lawsuits all day long. So that's a possibility. But you know, what does that do for us?
Yeah.
What's the politics of that?
All right, Blue Wave. I love you guys.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Zach. You know, I think it's entirely possible that a good lawsuit might be good politics. I'm just skeptical. I'm skeptical that that's the case. So, you know, anyhow, we'll see. Let's see. All my other callers are listening on commercial radio right now. So I'm going to just once again, I think this is really. Oh, we never got to Paul LePage. I'll have to do that tomorrow. Angry about Trump's cruelty and megalomania toward Puerto Rico. You have recourse now that the hurricane is, you know, Trump and Puerto Rico. This is an absolute screaming disaster. This, by the way, is in the Washington Post, the plumb line, Greg Sargent. And he says many people who are angry about this, you know, that Trump has lied about Puerto Rico, have pointed out that congressional Republicans are making the situation worse by punting on the oversight that is called for at times like this. And he says Democrats themselves should be spending more time pledging serious oversight of the Trump administration's governing failures, not just of media-friendly things like Trump's self-dealing in finances. That's a good point. You know, good government is something that the Republicans have completely abandoned. We'll be back. It's 53 minutes past the hour. Stick around. We'll be right back with more of your calls. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, you know, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
So is this going to take the pressure off Joe Manchin, Joe Donnelly, Heidi Heitkamp, and Doug Jones with regard to voting on the Brett Kavanaugh nomination? Is it going to give cover to Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski? How is this going to play out? There's a lot at stake here and a lot going on. Let's pick up some of your phone calls. Robert in Georgia. Hey, Robert, what's on your mind?
Yes, Tom, I just wanted to mention the reason why Trump could want to try to put somebody on the Supreme Court like Kavanaugh. He don't know, he's not decent himself, and he don't know how to deal with decent people.
Yeah, it's a good point. If Kavanaugh is a little rapey, he and Donald Trump will get along just fine. Excellent point, Robert. Very well said. Ed in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Ed, what's on your mind?
The Kavanaugh nomination, I keep hearing it only takes 2 Republicans if all the Democrats hold to stop the nomination.
That's right.
Wouldn't that put it at 50-50, though, and wouldn't the Pence then cast a deciding vote?
No, the Republicans have 51 votes, so if they lost 2, that would take it down to 49. Pence would just bring it up to 50, which is not a majority. If they lose 1 Republican, they can pull that off, but if they lose 2 Republicans, they're toast.
Even now that they got Kyle?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. The math is there. Yeah. Lisa in Las Vegas. Hey, Lisa, thanks for calling. What's up?
Good morning. I thought Kavanaugh wasn't forthcoming at all in the hearing, and he was just stalling, and too bad he can't take a lie detector test. I totally believe the woman, and if he lied before in 2002 and 2004, he shouldn't be serving at all, and really what this big fight is all about is a get-out-of-jail-free card for Trump.
I think you're right, and I think that's why Trump picked Kavanaugh, because Kavanaugh thinks that presidents should not be subject to things like Robert Mueller. Yeah, I'm with you. Lisa, thank you for the call. Robert in Detroit, listening on iHeartRadio. Hey, Robert, what's up?
Hi, I'm calling because, elections have consequences, and we all know that, and we're kind of in the position we're in right now because over 100 million people didn't vote in the last election. And I had this idea kind of based on the Ice Bucket Challenge, where I call it the Democracy Challenge, where we have celebs, athletes, comics, musicians vote wherever they live, and then fly to their hometown. And then while they're there, they encourage local people to come out and vote and take a selfie with them.
That's a great idea, Robert. That's you should pitch that to Richard Green. He's the kind of person who pulls these things together. I think it's richardgreen.com is his website. Robert, thanks a lot. Thank you for being with us today. An amazing time in the history of the country. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires you. Get out there, get active, tag, you're it. We'll see you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.
From United Nations